different dining room groups on sale now for $637.
We interrupt this program for a First Alert weather update.
Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dave Roberts. We have a tornado warning in effect for right now Issaquena County. This will go until 8:45 this evening. This is a new tornado warning being issued. A pretty intense thunderstorm cell right now located over Lake Providence, Louisiana. This is moving northeastward currently into Issaquena County and will be impacting the county for about the next 45 minutes to an hour or so. Areas along Fittler and on northward Highway 1, for instance, up through Mayersville and almost to Rolling Fork. We're going to be looking at a severe weather threat for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dave Roberts. We do have this tornado warning that is currently in effect. Meteorologist Peyton Garrison also joining me on this. This is a radar-indicated tornado at this point. Isn't that right, Peyton?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we're going to be watching this storm, and there it is, pretty good circulation just to the south of Lake Providence. There you see it, right across the river on Highway 65. And this cell will be jumping the river and moving northeastward, generally right along Highway 1 here. This is Highway 1, which is very close to the river, moves through the western part of Issaquena County, and will continue moving northeastward. I want to show you the bigger view on this, though, because this is part of a pretty intense line of storms that's now getting going from about Interstate 20 west of Delhi, Louisiana, and that extends into Issaquena County. Then we've got the other line here that I'm watching that's northwest of Monroe. Why am I pointing that out to you? Because that's really the back end of the storm system at this point. But we're now in that corridor where we're going to be watching these storms flaring up. I'm also paying attention to the storm that's right now in the southern part of Italic County. It's just a thunderstorm at this point, but a lot of these storms will need to be watched in this environment as we go through this evening, especially north and west of Jackson. A tornado watch in effect for much of the area this evening. This goes until midnight tonight and encompasses north central Mississippi and northeast Louisiana. And again, this is the area that we're going to be watching for further development of thunderstorms that could spawn tornadoes as we go throughout the evening. A look at regional radar shows you not much going on in the metro area, but this particular cell is moving into Issaquena County, and if it continues moving northward, it should cut across northern Sharkey County before long as well. So we want to put you on alert if you're in Sharkey County, too, for this particular cell. Again, very close to Highway 1 here, just coming out of Lake Providence, Louisiana, and this will continue moving northeast. What's the speed that we have on this one?
This one's moving at 50 miles per hour, so the fastest storm that we've had so far.
Gotcha. And so right now not getting any damage reports, but this is a radar indicated tornado that's moving northeast at 50 right near Lake Providence. We are seeing some purple here on the scale. This is rainfall intensity. And you can see that that's right there on the upper edge of the scale. So this is very heavy rain that is falling right now across the western part of Issaquena County, right near the Mississippi River. And this will continue moving north and eastward. Hollybrook, for instance, and Lake Providence are in the areas right now across the river in Louisiana that are being impacted. And again, this is moving into Issaquena County, and just about most of the county to about the Fittler community is involved. We have our inflow and outflow, pretty good couplet showing up right here. That is just north of Tallulah, not Tallulah, Louisiana, but the Tallulah community, which is on Highway 1 here. And you can see that that's right where we believe this tornadic cell is located. So we've got our twist in the atmosphere, shows it pretty clearly, and that's going to be moving up towards Willett Road. So if you live in Issaquena County near Willett Road, that is where we're going to be watching the potential of this tornado to move into your area. We're scanning reports, not getting any ground reports right now that there is a tornado on the ground, but again, these storms are the ones we have to watch very closely as we go into this evening, because it won't take much for them to develop. The Cottonwood community also being impacted by this, and if we can, let's measure some of the winds that you're seeing out here, Peyton, and maybe we can get an idea as to what it is that we're seeing as far as how strong these winds really are. So you may see some minuses, you may not. This is just to give you an idea as to what kind of winds we have. So we have 56-mile-per-hour winds that are kind of twisting away, and then this is what's folding in, twisting in towards the radar, contrasting with 37-mile-per-hour winds the other direction. So there's definitely something going on here. All right, when you have 60-plus-mile-per-hour winds in one direction and you go just about a mile away and they're coming from a complete opposite direction, that gives you an idea where there is a twist in the atmosphere, and it's something we have to pay very close attention to as this storm continues moving northeastward. Fortunately, at this point, we've had no reports of any damage. We did earlier have some damage reports coming out of Simpson County. Hard to say whether they're tornadic or not, but certainly something to pay attention to. Also, we've seen an escalation in power outages tonight. They haven't been that substantial, but we've definitely seen them jump up, especially after that storm that developed in Lincoln County earlier, moved through Simpson and farther north into Scott counties. So that's something that we're noticing right now with all this activity.
Yeah, and we did have a couple of storms in Holmes County, and they actually have a decent amount of power outages out right now, around 226. So that could have been from some of those gusty storms that they previously saw.
All right, and we're watching a cell right now in Atala County, and let's go over to Atala County real quickly. That's the only other storm really on the local radar here that bears some watching, and this is south of Kosciuszko here. We're going to go closer, and sorry to jump around on you folks, but it's just south of downtown Kosciuszko. This is going to be moving over downtown in the next 5-10 minutes or so. There's going to be some heavy rain in it, that's for sure. We're not seeing as much of like that hook echo, but a lot of these storms are rotating, so we are seeing twists in the atmosphere, something we can't ignore. And I just want to alert you, if you live in Kosciuszko or Ethel, this is going to be impacted by some rain. Peyton's scanning right now the inflow and outflow with it, and there's not a lot to it. So that's the good news. It's just a pretty nasty thunderstorm, at least for the time being, that is moving towards the Kosciuszko area. That's really it. Lightning is picking up with it as well. But beyond that, we're not seeing a lot of activity this evening. Things were a little active about an hour ago, but they have really come down in intensity. But now what we're starting to see is the atmosphere is destabilizing from what's moving in from Louisiana, northeastern Louisiana, as a matter of fact. And that's why we're starting to pay more attention to these cells here. Also, I do want to point out there's a cell closer to Yazoo City, just a little bit to the east there. And that one also is picking up just the last few minutes. So we'll watch that, but I am most concerned with what's going on here from west of Rolling Fork back over into Louisiana, because this is the area there we could have some problems. And, you know, as Peyton's scanning the sky here, you could see we've had this persistent inflow and outflow showing up. That's what you're looking at here. This is inflow and outflow, showing you the wind that's blowing toward the radar and wind that's blowing away from the radar. And so, as I mentioned, this is blowing away and this is blowing in. So this is where you're going to have your circulation, where they peak. And that's exactly what's going on here. And as Peyton scanned just a couple minutes ago, 60-mile-per-hour winds going away from the radar. Meanwhile, coming towards the radar, we had 40-mile-per-hour winds. So this is pretty much your best bet on where a tornado would be. There's a circulation in the sky. That's confirmed by what we're seeing. It's also confirmed by the tornado warning that's been issued. But the question is...
And they're going to go downstream.
There we go. We have an additional tornado warning. And I just mentioned that. We were going to help, and we're actually seeing it extended now. All right, so this is going to be not just for northern sections of Issaquahna County, but this will be for northern Sharkey and northern Humphreys County until, do we have a time on that one? Until 9 o'clock. So that's going to take us right through this time frame in here until 9 o'clock this evening. We have a tornado warning now in effect for areas such as Rolling Fork, Louise, and Belzona. Again, the storm is moving from southwest to northeast at a pretty good clip, too.
55 miles per hour.
All right, so we're at 55 miles per hour. So showing a little bit of some acceleration with this weather. And just want to let everybody know that if you're in those three counties now, Issaquahna, Sharkey, and Humphreys counties, you are now looking at a tornado warning that is currently in effect. Just getting the latest information on that. Quarter-size hail possible. The storm is now 8 miles east of Lake Providence, as you can see, just passing Highway 1, and it is currently moving northeast at 55 miles an hour, so it's a pretty fast mover. If you're in this area right now, you should definitely get to the lowest point in your home, get away from windows, protect yourself from the potential of flying debris. This is a dangerous storm in the sense that it is right now over a very rural area. And we are not going to get a lot of reports, and now it's nighttime anyway, so it's going to be hard to see if there even is a tornado there without damage actually occurring from it. So we need to pay very close attention to this cell as it moves northeastward. Rolling Fork, please get ready. If you know anybody that lives in Rolling Fork, get them on the phone now. A very dangerous situation is setting up here. These nighttime tornadoes are always the worst when it comes to warning on them. Again, because of the fact you just can't see them on the ground, you're not going to have a lot of people spotting them. And as we plot out what time it's going to be arriving here, Rolling Fork 8:07, Louise at 8:27, Silver City 8:35, Belzona about 8:39 p.m. and then Bee Lake, it should be there by 8:44, and Mileston at 8:49 p.m. So again, this cell moving northeastward now, and again, it's showing well-defined here on our inflow and our outflow. I noticed they just updated, it looks like they just updated the warning on that a little bit, narrowed it back just a little to show where it is. And again, this will be in Rolling Fork by about 10 minutes from now. So we want you to be very careful. Again, if you know anybody in this area, please, at this point, let them know. Just text them, call them, whatever you may want to do, just to alert them, hey, we've got this tornado developing and on the radar right now.
And there are a couple of storm chasers outside with this storm. So, you know, if there is any confirmation of a tornado on the ground, we could see not only from radar indicated, but possibly out in the field. So we'll relay any of that information as it does come through us through the National Weather Service chat and otherwise. But again, this is only radar indicated. But I will say that the rotation as a whole just south of Mayersville now is picking up quite a bit, especially now as it tracks just to the east of Highway 1. And again, this is the latest scan coming on, Dave. That's pretty concerning to look at.
Yeah.
We can just scan some of the winds right now, and I would imagine them to be 58-mile-an-hour wind, 67.
Yep.
68, so we've got some strong winds regardless. They're just above the surface, a little bit more than the surface since this is a bit ways out from the radar itself, but we've got some strong winds aloft that are rotating, and regardless, you're going to see some very strong gusty winds nonetheless.
Yeah, and you know, it may be worth trying to 3D slice this storm if we can do that in regular radar mode. I don't want to put you on the spot too much. It's like asking someone to do some brain surgery real quickly on the fly, but it's a little more complicated. But we're seeing a donut hole developing right in there.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so let me show folks what we're doing here. We now have flipped the storm on its side. All right, and we're looking at it from a 3D perspective. So we're now doing like a core sample, if you will, cutting across it. And now we have a new thing coming in. What is that, Peyton? We just went to purple here on the screen.
Oh, they are now going, it looks like they will be going confirmed, I would imagine. The purple box is considerable.
Yeah. So this is turning into a very dangerous situation very quickly. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take you off the 3D scan like I did, but
no, you're fine.
Yeah, that is what we're looking at now, a dangerous situation developing.
Approaching Rolling Fork.
Rolling Fork is going to be our next location. That looks like a donut hole.
So the National Weather Service is noting that we do not have a confirmed tornado with it, but they're going to go ahead and add that considerable tag, which is the purple polygon for the storm over Issaquena County, considering just how strong the velocity data is, which is just what I showed you, considering that they believe that this storm does have the capability to drop a tornado just from how strong the wind field is.
I find it hard to believe that it's not.
Yeah, again, we have a couple of storm chasers out.
And there we go. They just did it now for Sharkey County and Humphreys County. So now we have that out. We don't see this too often. The considerable tag is, it's, you know, folks, this is the real deal, okay? And we're not going to have a lot of time if you're in Rolling Fork for you to see it and then take action. So this is something where you need to take action now, all right? If you live in Nidayuma or Rolling Fork, take action now. Now is the time to get away from the windows and to start your tornado plan that you have in place, because you're not going to have much time. This is a dangerous storm that is now forming over Issaquena County. I know we say tornadoes, all tornadoes are dangerous, but this is where we have the data. On Willett Road right now, this is where we have the data coming in of considerable inflow and outflow. There's a very tight core in here, and we're seeing a little bit of a donut hole. What is that donut hole? Well, just picture it this way. You've got the tornado. This would be the walls of the tornado in here, and in the center it's kind of like a sink. That's where the drier air is. So this could be a large tornado at that. That is currently moving up Willett Road. The ingredients are there. The radar echo is showing us something going on there. And, you know, Peyton, a moment ago, she did have a 3D scan on this storm. We were looking at it. We were kind of dissecting it there. And it was interesting to kind of see it. The storm had some pretty good vertical, you know, depth to it. I don't know if you could slide that bar just back a little bit. We can kind of see it. But right in the center core of it here, this is where we're watching. And, you know, right there, come on back. That's an indication of some pretty large hail that's probably falling from that storm as well. So this is pretty intense. This is going up to about 27,000 feet in the sky. I'm doing math on the fly here. So, you know, you're going 27,000 feet. It's probably the surface temperature now 70. So you're talking about right here, it's about 0 degrees. And so if it's 0 degrees in that general area, that's where you're going to have some big problems, maybe 10 below 0. You're going to have some large hail falling on that area. Can we go to hail scan real quick, just see if any of that is possibly starting to show up yet?
And they have hail, I believe, in this particular storm.
I saw they were indicating up to quarter-size hail, I think.
They did increase it.
Okay, I figured as much.
An inch and 3/4.
Whoa, that's going to cause some damage. So inch and 3/4 diameter hail is going to cause some damage for there, and we're going to clear up the map for you folks. Sorry, like I said, it's we're doing a little surgery on the storm there in the regular radar. But there's our donut hole, as we call it. That would be where the actual tornado is located, showing up vividly there on the radar.
I do have confirmation. Storm chasers confirm large cone tornado southwest of Rolling Fork. This is still ongoing, and they can hear a roar. And this is coming in from the National Weather Service chat. So anyone in the Rolling Fork, Anguilla area, you need to get in your tornado safe place. This is a very dangerous situation, as we do have a confirmed tornado on the ground. Yeah,
this is a very serious thing that's going on right now. If we could throw on hail scan real quick, I just want to give folks a little perspective on this. And we are noticing large hail, quarter-size hail falling in here. It's starting to push above that to ping-pong size hail in this. This hail tracker, just full disclosure, runs a few minutes behind. It actually measures the hail and then maps it out. So I want you to know we've got some large hail. Probably what's going on here, it's bringing it up and it's dumping it on the backside of this storm. So this is a dangerous storm. I'm also seeing on the north side of it here lots of purple. That indicates upper end of the scale. It's probably getting contaminated by some hail, meaning the hail is reflecting back as rain. In this case, we're probably hitting ice is what we're hitting. As I mentioned to you, it looks like the top of this thunderstorm is probably in a zone where it's about 0 to 20 degrees below 0, the actual temperature. So you take all this moisture at the surface, you bring it up into that part of the sky, it freezes, and it freezes quick. And if it keeps going these little loops in the sky, because nothing moves up straight from bottom to top, it actually goes in loops. As it comes down, there'll be a little melting, there'll be some refreezing, and the bottom line is you get a bigger and bigger hailstone each time that happens. So let me tell you, this is dangerous hail, and this is also a potentially dangerous cone tornado. Excuse me, we now have confirmation, a cone-shaped tornado southwest of Rolling Fork. Let's go closer in. I want to warn our folks in Rolling Fork what to do about this storm, but this is a dangerous situation.
And this will track very close to, if not through, Rolling Fork.
There's the downtown area there. This is Highway 61. All right, and Highway 14, and then 16 comes off it. That's where downtown Rolling Fork is. In here, we have very intense winds that are blowing away from the radar, and then right here, the winds are coming back in. This is where the tornado is located. It's located just off Willett Road. It's about to move eastward into the county, into, let me be clear, into Sharkey County right now, nearing Rolling Fork and Riverside Junction.
They will be coming out with a tornado emergency for Rolling Fork. This is a life-threatening situation. This is wording coming in right now from the National Weather Service.
Okay, so a tornado emergency about to go into effect for Rolling Fork.
And here it is.
And okay, there we go. Tornado emergency now issued for the Rolling Fork area and the northern half of Sharkey County. A dangerous situation developing. This is a large tornado, a cone-shaped tornado that is sitting just southwest of town. It is about to move over Rolling Fork within the next 5 minutes or so. If we can maybe track it just a little bit. I know we're really close to it right now. It's very close to Rolling Fork. Again, this is not a potential. This is confirmed by storm spotters on the ground. Also, we've scanned it a couple different ways. It is a potentially large tornado that is about to move through Rolling Fork. We have 5 minutes. That's it. So just take it from me. You don't have 5 minutes, okay? You have a minute. And so what you need to do right now is please cover yourself. If you have a helmet, put it on. All right, right now, if you got the kids, a bathtub would be a good idea. Cover them up, though, if you're putting them in the bathtub. Just get away from windows, because windows can blow out very quickly. Debris can fly in. This is a situation where you really need to take precautions right this moment, okay? This is not a run-of-the-mill typical situation. This is a pretty much high-end, upper end of the scale. We've got the confirmation on the ground. We're spotting a well-defined tornado on radar, and now this is moving towards the Rolling Fork community. It is literally almost there. Can we pull the cone off real quick? Notice what's going on here. If we go a little bit closer, and you can see we're pushing off the scale. With what we're seeing here on those winds. I wonder if you can hit it real quick just to kind of give us an idea, but there's some extremely strong winds in there that are blowing through right now. 76-mile-per-hour winds. Again, we're doing a quick sampling of the atmosphere here, and you need to understand that these things, when you start seeing colors like that, it's pushing pretty much off the scale. You're starting to get really towards the upper end, the high end of things. So again, a dangerous storm playing out right now. It is moving over Rolling Fork and pretty close to Burma Road. So if you live near Highway 14, Burma Road, this is where the storm is located, and it's moving northeast at about 55 miles per hour. Damaging wind is likely. A tornado is confirmed with this storm. A tornado emergency in effect right now for the city of Rolling Fork and the northern half of Sharkey County. Here we go. We're going into town here. This is downtown Rolling Fork. This is the tornado showing up on the radar. That's where we have it plotted. Go a little closer in for me. I just want to get some street names out. Carter Brothers Road, Spivey Road right here. Burma Road, I told you, on the south side of 14 now, on the north side of 14 where it continues, and then right along Highway 16. The storm is now tracking very close to downtown Rolling Fork. We're in currently we're just outside the Sharkey-Issaquena Hospital right there, and this is where the storm is tracking. So please take cover anywhere along Highway 16 right now in Sharkey County. Take cover immediately. And you can see this storm is moving from southwest to northeast. Hey, guys in the back, if we can, let's get somebody on the phone in Sharkey County as soon as possible, and maybe Humphreys County too, just to get some confirmation on what we're seeing here, because we do have numerous reports coming in right now from people on the ground, spotters that have spotted this storm, even at night. This is lighting up enough where people know what's going on.
There's a lot of lightning with this storm.
Can we throw on the lightning real quick just to kind of show folks? And wow, yeah, there's so much lightning.
Yeah.
Okay, the whole thing's covered up. All right, this is the real deal. When you see, I've said this a million times probably on TV here, when you see an uptick in lightning like that, and a lot of it, it's just another confirmation. But this is a large-scale tornado right now, a large tornado, and one that's moving literally just over the downtown Rolling Fork area, just on the north side of Highway 14 here. So this is moving quickly, 55 miles an hour. Looks like, if we can plot this with extreme accuracy, looks like it's just going to go across Highway 16 just north of downtown Rolling Fork, but still, it's a dangerous storm, and if you're in this area, you don't have enough room for error. So you really need to make sure you take cover. Issaquena County no longer under a tornado warning. The tornado warning has been pulled for Issaquena County, but you can still see that this tornado emergency is in effect right now for Sharkey as well as Humphreys counties. I do not want you to let your guard down, because you have enough time to prepare in Belzona for this. You do not in Rolling Fork. The storm is on you in Rolling Fork right now, and Delta City is another place that will be in the path of the storm. So is the community of Louise and Silver City and Gooden Lake. So I want you to be extra cautious out in this area. Start your tornado plan now. Start getting away from the windows and have a place to go.
And I do want to real quick turn on debris tracker, because
there we go, right there.
Pretty decent debris tracker, as in this, whatever, we have something being aloft in this tornado, and it is now crossing over Highway 61 now, just to the north of Rolling Fork. So we don't know exactly what this is. This may be just trees. This could be something else that does include people's homes. You know, hopefully that's not the scenario.
You don't like seeing this, number one. You definitely don't like seeing it when you're over a populated center right there, and that's what we're seeing. Can I get you to roll it back just a little?
Yeah.
All right. So the only reason why I want to see what happens. So looks like it just came into town from the southwest. Yeah.
I mean, it's almost a direct hit.
Yeah, I don't like seeing this.
And it's riding right up Highway 61. If it's not gonna hit Anguilla, it's gonna be very, very close to passing directly into.
Right. So let's explain something to you here at home. All right. You're not going to, when we're showing you stuff on the radar, not everything is going to line up perfectly, and I'll explain to you why. The storm is moving from southwest to northeast. All right. So as it's hitting things and lifting them into the air, it may not show up on the radar directly above it. It could throw it out this way, it could throw it out that way, but the bottom line is we now have confirmation on a debris ball. That means it is picking up debris. When you start seeing this blue in here, when you start seeing those blues, that's your clear confirmation. That's picking up some pretty sturdy debris, and that's what it's doing right now. And this debris, as Peyton said, it could be trees. There's plenty of trees out here in this part of Mississippi, but when it goes through a town like this, and you're still looking at a large debris ball, and in my opinion, the debris ball started to pick up in intensity when it reached Rolling Fork, that's not a good sign. So guys in the back, I know we're efforting to get some communications with Sharkey County. Let's continue to press on that, please. Brandon, if you could kind of help in that effort, I would really appreciate that. We got to get some folks on to talk us through what's happening right now in Sharkey County. I'm also on my Facebook page and monitoring what's going on there as well. Peyton's monitoring communications right now, so we're really staying in touch with what's going on. We're trying to get you the latest information.
I don't know if we do have access to burst back in the back in terms of the videos and images we do receive from the weather app. And if you can safely take any sort of pictures, please do so. But again, this is a very dangerous storm, so we don't want you to put yourself in harm's way. But again, it looks like we are getting images of what appears to be a tornado on the ground. It's hard to tell. It's a very low-hanging cloud. But again, anyone in the back, producers, just keep an eye on bursts, because of course there's a lot of other things that we are going to try to do. And also just want to note that the National Weather Service is noting that the tornado debris signature we're watching right now extends to at least 22,000 feet.
So keep that in mind, folks. Let me tell you what that is. We're now at 4 miles into the sky. So the debris is being lofted 4 miles into the sky. This is a powerful tornado, is what we're looking at right there on the screen when you're going that high into the sky. Keep in mind, we were showing you that the temperature, okay, at about 27,000 feet. This is at 22,000 feet. The temperature at 27,000 feet is about 0 degrees. So this is sub-freezing temperatures that this debris is going up into and now coming back down. Andy Bayou Road, I do want to alert you, close to Highway 14, debris signature moving towards there. Brandon, also, Brandon, I want to let you know we're getting stuff on burst. If there's a way of you getting those pictures, we got a lot of activity going on. We got Brandon Walker here. We've got the whole team basically kind of working this storm right now for you. Southdale Road is the next place that we're watching with this storm. That's the debris ball. We're just southeast of Anguilla, and it's moving northeastward towards Highway 14. Dowling Bayou Road will be the next road in place. Meteorologist Patrick Ellis is here as well. Again, the whole team's here pretty much, and we're monitoring this. Highway 434 is the next place in line. We have a tornado emergency in effect for Sharkey and Humphreys counties right now. A dangerous tornado, a large tornado that just came through Rolling Fork and is moving northeastward right now, currently going towards Highway 14. And so we want you to be on special alert here. It's not often that we see these tornado emergencies issued, but this is the real deal. And wow, look at that. Look at that wind. This is, again, the outflow of winds. We're at the end of the scale here, folks. This is the wind blowing away from the radar. This is the wind blowing in from the radar. And if we could just get some measurements on that, Peyton, I don't know. You know, we'll try our best, but it's just to show you. Sorry, that went to lightning scan there. But we just want to show you just how intense the winds are here. You don't normally see it in that particular manner where it's really pushing the upper end of the scale. We've got 90-mile-per-hour winds, so we know that's at least EF1 material. Possibly more than that. We've got some 93-mile-per-hour winds, and then we've got winds blowing in the opposite direction that are coming in across Highway 61. So this is a large tornado now that is coming across the intersection of Highway 14 and, forgive me, that's Highway 434, but if we can go a little bit closer in just so I can grab that street. That's, okay, that's... I can't really see it. It's blending in a little bit. So, Sandy Bayou, there we go, Sandy Bayou Road, and then River Road is right beyond that. But this is a very large a large tornado that's currently moving on through. Meteorologist Patrick Ellis, you mic'd up?
Let's see. Maybe I am.
Okay, we'll go with it. Okay, I can hear you. And,
Just talking to Patrice Clark. She was on the phone with the Rolling Fork mayor, and he says that his house was hit by the tornado. So this was a large tornado, and from what we can see, that debris signature goes up 22,000 feet. If that's correct, that's probably EF2 or EF3 strength tornado just went through Rolling Fork, and it's on the east side of Anguilla right now. We need you to be in a safe place now. This is a serious situation. It probably is on the ground in Issaquena County too, in far northern Issaquena County. So very dangerous situation that's unfolding for northern portions of Sharkey County and for our friends in Humphreys County. You're next in line, Gooden Lake, eventually out towards Isola and Belzona. Friends out that way, you need to go ahead and start making your plans now, because that storm is rolling up towards the north and east at 55 miles per hour. It's not stopping at red lights. It's not stopping at stop signs. It's heading your way. Anguilla, safe place now, especially if you're on the east side of town. Sandy Bayou Road, you see there, Highway 14, that runs you back out towards Midnight and Louise, over into southern portions of Humphreys County. You see Delta City off to the north. Panther Burn's up that way as well, but this storm should be past Panther Burn and Nidda-Yuma. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's debris falling out of that storm up near Delta City and Nidda-Yuma.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. This is a large tornado. And again, an EF2 or EF3 could be easily possible. I mean, I was saying the freezing line, the debris is going higher than the freezing line in the sky. All right, this debris is going up 4 miles, 5 miles into the sky on Debris Tracker. That's really just frightening to think about. How large that is. And I will tell you, the debris ball, in my opinion, from the latest scan, has shrunk back just a little bit. But it really picked up the moment it hit Rolling Fork.
Yes.
And that's the thing. And when I'm looking at this, I mean, this is upper end of the scale. When I've looked at these storms, I've been doing this 10 years here at WLBT today, as a matter of fact. Happy anniversary to me. I'm covering, much like the way I started, I'm covering tornadoes. And you can see that the tornado threat here that's on Highway 14 and Highway 61, those kinds of winds we just don't see very often. And we have the debris ball here. It looks like we have two. Now, it could be that it's just splitting the debris in the sky and that it's fanning out. It could be fanning out in different directions. But this is a very large debris ball that's indicated right now on Highway 434. And then you've got your inflow and outflow winds here very close to the Ritchie community. So let's go forward now. Let's go over here. Let's take a look at what these streets are so folks know. We're getting into the northeast part of...
do you want to go...
Yeah,
the debris okay. Upstream?
Yeah, let's just, and right now we're on the wind flow, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you can see this is Widow Bayou Road, McPherson Road, and over through 14. Big Widow Bayou Road. These are some of the areas that are going to be impacted. If you're anywhere along Highway 14, all right, you don't have much time. We're talking seconds, maybe a minute. All right, get ready for this storm. Do what you can to protect yourself. It's going to be tough. All right, if it's an EF2 or an EF3, all right, just ride it out as best you can. If you don't have any other place to go in your home right now, all right, a bathroom is a safe bet. It's a safer bet. Get in that bathtub and cover yourself up. If you've got some helmets, throw some helmets on. Got the kids, maybe you got the football helmets. Okay, put them on the kids and get them ready for this storm. We want to keep you as protected as possible. Again, Highway 14, northern areas of Sharkey County, a large tornado observed on the ground. Mayor of Rolling Fork telling WLBT News a short time ago, even his house was hit. So I'm working right now to get some folks on the phone here from Sharkey County so we can get you the latest information and just let everybody know what the status is in the Rolling Fork area. So we're working on that right now. Not getting a lot of folks on Facebook commenting from Sharkey County, and that could be because we're without power, with their cell phone service down. Could be a whole multitude of reasons, or we just don't have a lot of folks that have been impacted. But the bottom line is this is a very large, dangerous situation. Let's go back to regular radar for a second. I just want to show folks, again, what's going on in this particular area. We believe the tornado to be right there on Highway 14. That is almost like the little donut hole that's been appearing at times, and the rotation around it would be right in here. Okay, and this is moving now towards the South Bayou Road area and Highway 14. Come on out a little bit more, all right, and around the Midnight community, you're probably going to be next in line for dealing with this storm. So please take this with extreme caution at this point in time, as we are getting indications of a large tornado that is moving through. Let's go to the bigger view real quick, just to give folks an idea. If you're not living in Sharkey County, we are seeing scattered showers on the radar, but nothing as impressive. But a tornado emergency is now in effect for Sharkey as well as Humphreys counties. And Peyton, as you explained the tornado emergency before, they issue it only in certain circumstances.
Yeah, that's when we know that there is a dangerous tornado that is on the ground doing damage. I do want to note that, you know, the debris signature doesn't look as impressive as what we were looking at previously when it was in Rolling Fork. But it's still there, as we now see it's now crossing over Highway 14. And even as the National Weather Service is mentioning that there's a lot of fields out this way, it's a lot more rural. So although we may not be picking up much on radar with things being lofted in the sky, that there still is likely a very dangerous tornado on the ground. So this may not look as impressive as it previously would, but this is still impressive. The wind field, the rotation as the storm as a whole now on Highway 14. It is on the eastern side, and now on the northeastern side of Sharkey County, and it's going to be moving into Humphreys counties here very, very shortly.
So we know this will be a tornado. We just don't know what intensity, but we know we saw the winds. We've been able to measure the winds here at 90+ miles per hour. Got to assume it's been higher than that just based on how high the debris would make it into the atmosphere in a particular storm like this. And the debris ball has been showing for quite a bit of time in this area as well. What's interesting is the debris ball did rapidly expand when it reached the Rolling Fork area. We can make assumptions that Rolling Fork was hit by this storm, and it could be quite a bad situation right now in Rolling Fork. I am being told we will have somebody talking to us from Sharkey County here any second, so we'll bring that to you as soon as we can. And then you could see this storm is quickly moving out of Sharkey County and now Humphreys County. And I want to tell you, you live in Silver City or Louise, do not play games with this thing, all right? Already you should be in your safe place in those spots. Do we sound like we're lecturing you? You better believe it. We're preaching, because right now you need to take action in this particular situation. This is not what if could be possibly. We're seeing this from every angle. We're getting the confirmation it's a tornado, and in fact it looks like it's a large tornado. The debris ball may be shrinking a little bit, not for good reasons. The reason it could be shrinking is over a rural area, not nearing a lot of homes at this point, and as soon as it comes close to another populated area of the road, it could start developing once again. The debris ball is a measurement, okay, of just the debris that it's picking up. But when you start seeing a debris ball like this, and it's seeing a lot of it lofted northward into the northern part of the county, that's just indicating, remember, you're taking all this debris, you're pushing it up in the sky, and then you've got southerly winds between 50 and 100 miles per hour. That's going to push this quite a distance away from the actual thunderstorm, the actual tornadic thunderstorm. So keep that in mind. This is just one measurement that we're showing you of the storm out there. Zoom out a little bit for me. The only reason why I want to do that is because I just want to, again, give folks in Gooden Lake and around Silver City enough time to prepare if we can track it out for these folks, just to give them some arrival times. All right? So now's a great idea, a great time. Take your phone. We are right now streaming through our free First Alert weather app. You don't need to have your TV with you if you're going to crouch down under a staircase, or you're going to a storm shelter, or you're actually going to go hide in the bathtub. Whatever the case may be, you can watch us on the free First Alert weather app. We are also on Facebook right now streaming through. Okay, and I understand now we are getting some information. We have someone live from Sharkey County, and for more on that, let's go to WLBT's Howard Ballou.
Yeah, we have Fred Miller. He's a former mayor of Rolling Fork on the phone right now. And Mr. Miller, thank you so much for taking time out. I know things are a little hectic for you right now. Can you give us a description of what has happened in your area to your home?
Well, you know, I praise my wife. She always makes me get in the bathroom. And we did, and it's just like everything you always hear. There was this horrible rumbling sound. Our house began to shake, and we started hearing windows blown out of our den. So once it calmed down slightly, we got out, and we've got a great deal of damage in the yard, in the house. Across the street from us, there are a number of trees down. We've got trees down in our yard. I talked to one of my friends who has worked with me for the last few years, and all I got from her was a text that just said her house was gone.
Oh, my goodness.
So we have no electricity in town. I see some emergency lights and things, but it's bad. And like I said, we're fortunate that we're both fine, and structurally, most of my house looks like it's okay, but we didn't get hurt, and that's all. Everything else can be replaced.
That's extremely important. We're glad to hear that. Give us a little more description of how your house was damaged. What type of damages did your house?
Well, at this point, it's been hard to see. In the back of our house, we have plate glass windows, and they all just blew out completely. And I've not been able to, because there's no electricity, I've not been able to look in the backyard where we have a number of large pecan trees and other trees to see, what's there. I did see some metal that was down. We've had awnings pulled off the house. It's a two-story, and I've not been upstairs because the lights are out to find out. But we have some huge trees, and we're just fortunate that the trees didn't land on the house.
Right.
Or don't seem to have landed on the house.
Yes, sir. Mr. Miller, about what time did all this start happening? And how long did it last?
It didn't. It probably lasted 5 minutes. Once the tornado warning came in, we got in the bathroom and took some pillows in with us, and we sat there for a while, and then all of a sudden we just started hearing this roaring, and the lights blinked a couple of times, and then they went off, and then we started hearing glass breaking and things popping, and all of a sudden there was a cool breeze coming in the house, so I knew windows had been blown out.
Absolutely.
But I'm concerned about neighbors and people that may be hurt and everything, but there's no traffic out right now.
Yeah. Any indication of any injuries that you know of at this point?
No.
I know it's early on for you.
No, I mean, I continue to get, text messages, and, the people that we work with have a text string, so, I've been watching it, but I've not heard anyone say anything about anyone being hurt yet. So I hope that we may have dodged that bullet.
Absolutely. And now, you're a former mayor. Have you experienced a tornado like this before, or a suspected tornado? We're not sure.
No. I've never experienced anything. My wife's family was here in '71 when the February tornadoes came through, but I've never. I mean, we in the Delta in Mississippi, we all get winds, and we all, huddle down when we get warnings like this.
Right.
But I've never seen it. And, it was just recently that we had a pretty good tornado in Anguilla, which isn't but 5 miles north of us.
Okay. All right. Former Mayor of Rolling Fork, Fred Miller, thank you so much. Be safe out there. We know you're busy, and please keep us posted. And thank you for taking time out to talk with us. Let's go back to Dave now.
Thank you.
Yeah, tornado emergency continues. In fact, thank you so much for that, Howard, getting us some information from on the ground there in Sharkey County. Right now, we are watching this tornado moving across. This would be 7 Mile Road, headed towards Gooden Lake Road. Debris signature showing up there, very close to the Midnight community. This is where Highway 149 comes on through. We are getting reports in from Rolling Fork. Several vehicles damaged. Many homes appear to be damaged. The damage looks pretty significant. We have unconfirmed reports of folks that are trapped in Rolling Fork at this time. So they are definitely in recovery mode. Keep in mind, it's still raining around Rolling Fork, so they're fighting the weather right now as part of responding to anybody who's trapped or any concerns there. This is our debris ball. This is what we're focused on for the actual cell that is going to move across Straight Bayou Road and move towards the Midnight community community at any moment. A tornado emergency remains in effect for another 30 minutes. This is going to exit out of Sharkey County and move into Humphreys County very shortly. It's getting very close to the border. In fact, correction, we're now inside Humphreys County and getting close to the midnight community. We just moved over the border there out of Sharkey County. I want to tell you, in Sharkey County, the weather's still bad. Don't move around just yet, okay? Do the best you can for the time being. We understand the power is out across most of Sharkey County right now, and we think the situation is about to go downhill and be the same here in Humphreys County. Next point will be Silver City. We are 7 miles southwest of Silver City. We're moving pretty quickly here at 55 miles per hour with this storm. You don't have much time. You have literally 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes until this storm arrives in the Silver City area. Here's another scan, inflow and outflow when it comes to winds, and that is showing up very close to the midnight community now. So that's where this storm is about to move over, the midnight community. Go ahead, Patrick.
Dave, I was gonna mention that looks very similar to the Easter tornadoes from 2020.
Yeah.
It was, you know, in a same distance from the radar site as that, and this storm is putting out debris. It's lofted 22,000 feet up and then getting pushed 8 to 10 miles north away from the center of circulation. Midnight, it's the time to act right now. You've got to be in your safe place immediately. There's no indication that this thing is going to lift. It is on the ground. It's going to be a long track tornado, and it is large. We saw pictures of it as it was moving out of northern Issaquena County. This is a serious situation. Midnight, Highway 149, Silver City, the airport here on the south side of Belzona. You need to go ahead and start taking your tornado precautions. If you know anybody who's traveling along Highway 49 right now from Belzona down towards Yazoo City, give them a call. Tell them it's a no-go, because this thing is going to cross right over Silver City if it's deadline center line here. Let's go, Peyton, and zoom out. I want to get a little further out. Again, that is a textbook looking signature. We're looking at probably about 6,000 feet up. And they're going to be coming out with a new warning soon to give as much advance notice as possible, and that would probably include Holmes County. Yeah, so probably northern Holmes County, Chula, out towards Mileston. So go ahead and be in your safe place as well. We're trying to give you as much lead time, and that's what I was going to say. Let's do a storm track into Holmes County with that storm. That is a nasty-looking cell. Midnight, it's the time to act immediately. Safe place, interior room, away from windows, lowest floor of your home. Again, you know, this is a serious situation. You know, from what we've seen from the pictures, definitely one of those situations that has caused significant damage over in Rolling Fork. There's your new warning that just came out for the same areas I just mentioned: Mileston, Chula, Kruger. You see also Acona. It clips on the western side of Lexington. I would say if you have a Lexington address, no matter where you are, even though that technically you're not inside that warning and it probably will pass to the north of you, I just go ahead and start looking at this and saying, all right, this is go time. Silver City, it's on top of you. We'll go ahead and just say it's basically on top of you at this point. Chula is the next major town in line. That'd be about 8:58. Subtract about 5 minutes from that. So we'll say 8:53 or so. Chula needs to be in a safe place, as well as Kruger. The Sidon community, that's up in southern sections of LaFleur County, about 9:09. Acona, northern portions of Holmes County, right there at the Holmes-Carroll County line, about 9:15, and eventually makes its way up into southern portions of Carroll County. But again, this has no indication. And they're still indicating a massive tornado is on the ground. Yes, there's no indicator that this thing's going to lift anytime soon. No. This is a real deal tornado on the ground situation. There's nothing that's going to stop this thing. The atmosphere, it's out by itself. And this is one of those significant, possibly large track tornadoes that we were talking about. Yes. That we have been talking about. And it's unfortunate. You know, it's going right through here. Major damage. And he's about to go out.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you there, Pat. Yeah, we got a lot of moving parts going on. A lot of moving parts right now. Patrice Clarkson here. She was just talking to Howard about, you know, we're getting the significant damage reports there in Rolling Fork. Silver City, it's the time to act right now. You got to be in your safe place. This is one of those situations that, you know, maybe even the safe place might even do it, you know, but we do the course of least regret. You got to be there. Lowest floor, interior room, away from windows. This is a very rural area. A lot of just fields, not many trees out there, okay? There are a couple of homes here in Midnight, and in Silver City, right here, right along Highway 49. As we mentioned, no one needs to be on 49 right now, 49 West.
and it needs to be on 49 West from Belzona all the way down to the county line. I'd say all the way down to the Yazoo River. This is, by all indications, on the ground, doing damage, a significant tornado, and based off of the signature there, even if it weren't on the ground, that is a signature that's going to put down a ton of wind. But we know it's on the ground, and we know it's doing damage. We already saw it, and it is a long track situation at this point.
It's coming right for Silver City. That's the thing. And, you know, we've been watching this storm for over an hour now. Peyton and I have been here, joined by the rest of the weather team, and we've seen this signature, and we've seen it the whole time. And it's really just been one of those things where we can't measure how bad it is, but we know how bad it is that when it went through Rolling Fork, there are tons of vehicles damaged. There are many homes damaged. Okay, can you give me his name? Okay. All right. Howard Ballou's going to join us now. I believe we have the mayor of Rolling Fork on. So, Howard, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Dave, his name is Eldridge Walker. He is the current mayor of Rolling Fork. We heard from the previous mayor, Fred Miller, just a few minutes ago. Sir, thank you so much for taking time out. I know things are pretty hectic for you right now. Give us an idea of what has happened in your town and what side of town you're on.
I am on the north side of town, and what has happened, we have been hit by a tornado. And it's clear that a lot of damage has been done here. I'm unable to get out of my home. My home has been hit. My garage and the west side of my home has been destroyed. It's leaking inside of my home, but I'm more concerned about what's happening outside in the community. So I'm trying to get out of my home, but there are power lines that's preventing me to do so. So we have a situation here.
Absolutely. You have to take extra precautions there, and please be safe. Are you getting any intel on possible injuries in the area, and was anybody impacted in your family?
Well, not in, well, really, I don't know, because I have a daughter and a granddaughter that's here in town. I've been unable to reach them, so I don't really know what's happening there. But there are other folk in the community who have been injured, and our first responders are out trying to do all they can to take care of those who's been injured and get them someplace where they can get some first aid. So
there is reason to suspect that there have been injuries. And what would you tell the citizens of Rolling Fork right now?
Right now, I would tell them to stay in place until some of the first responders can get to them. And if they're capable of getting any communications to anybody about what's happening around them, do so. But right now, all of our first responders are out trying to do all they can to assess what's happening and get the injured to the hospitals for treatment.
And I know you've got a lot on your plate right now, but is there anything you would like to add regarding what's going on in Rolling Fork right now?
No, sir, there's nothing more I'd like to add. I'm just asking your viewers and your listeners to just pray for this community and folk who've been affected by this storm.
Most definitely. Our hearts and thoughts are with you. Stay safe, and we will check back in with you. That's Eldridge Walker, mayor current of Rolling Fork, giving us an idea of what's happening in that area. Let's check back in with Dave now.
Thank you so much, Howard Ballou. All right, Silver City, I am praying that everyone in Silver City that was watching us, that knows about this storm coming in, whatever way you found out about it, that you're right now in your safe space, your safe place, whatever it may be, that you are right now going through the storm, and I can only imagine how bad it is based on what we've seen with it. Again, getting away from windows. I'll say it ad nauseum. I don't care how many times I have to say it, because every person that can follow this advice, get away from windows, crouch down, protect yourself with whatever you can so that you're not impacted by flying debris. Please do that if you haven't already done so in Silver City, but you're going through the tornado right now. I want to zoom out a little bit. This is Debris Tracker, and we're going to keep our eyes on Debris Tracker, because this will be a telltale sign if it is causing damage in Silver City. Belzona sits just to the north. The good news for you in Belzona is the actual tornado is going to go south of you. It's going to track right across 49 West. The bad news is the weather's still awful. Okay, so it's maybe not as bad as what's happening in Silver City, but it's just awful, all right? And then this storm, we're watching it. Let's go closer back in on Debris Tracker here, because I just want to see the next scan or so. But as you just heard, there are injuries being reported in Rolling Fork. There is a considerable amount of damage also in the Rolling Fork area from the storm that hit them just a little while ago. And now here's the Debris Tracker showing it right over Silver City, 49 West and Highway 149. All right, you're going through it right now, and we hope that this is a lower-end tornado, but unfortunately, everything we're looking at suggests this is a stronger tornado. And if you follow the advice that we've been giving you on going to your safe place, maybe you have a storm shelter, maybe you can protect yourself, even if it comes down to just a table protecting you, whatever you can do to ride this out. Okay, we hope that that's going to protect you, because when you start getting into those situations, you know, Patrick mentioned this looks a lot like the Bassfield, you know, tornado situation. That's hard to think about, because even the best advice in that situation wouldn't help some of those folks, because it was that bad of a storm. We hope that that's not what we're dealing with here, but I got to tell you, the reports that we are getting from Rolling Fork on air and off the air are significant. We are working to get you additional information. Peyton just informed me a few seconds ago that all of Sharkey County is without power right now.
Almost all.
Almost all.
It appeared that maybe 100 customers without power, but it's upwards of close to 100. I also want to notice that storm spotters are still reporting that this is still on the ground. It just crossed over Highway 49, and the National Weather Service will be upgrading that downstream warning for Holmes County. It has that considerable tag, but that will also become a tornado emergency as well.
So we are tracking, this is a long track tornado. This is what we fear, especially at night. These are the worst things to track because we're lucky that we have the spotters in position that can confirm its existence. That is helping us, but it's one of those things where you have folks that need to get rescued, they need help, and remember, even if the tornado passes, you still have this pounding rain and wind that's coming down. All right, so this just moved over Silver City. And here's the debris field showing up now. This is debris tracker just to the east side of town, bounded here by about Main Street in Silver City, all right? And this is now moving out into the open country again of northern sections of Humphreys County. The next place it will wind up is probably close to Grass Lake and Highway 12. So if you live along Highway 12 in western Holmes County, all right, or in the northern part of Humphreys County, you need to take this very, very seriously, because we have confirmation on this of a large tornado physically and also a large tornado in intensity that is moving right now over Silver City. Meteorologist Patrick Ellis.
Just seeing this coming in, at least one injury near Rolling Fork after that tornado came through there. At least one injury with that storm moving through Rolling Fork not terribly long ago. As far as we can tell, it's not as deep as far as the tornado. You see, they just went up to the considerable tornado emergency for northern portions of Holmes County. That does include Mileston, Chula, Kruger, okay, right there along Highway 49 East. So we were talking about 49 West. The storm is now moving into the wildlife management, or getting close to there, but anybody who's in between Silver City and Highway 12, we need you to be in your safe place, okay? But this is generally a wildlife management area, so the possibility that we may even, at times, the debris signature may not look as significant, but that signature of rotation is still significant. That has not changed. The problem is that when we're looking at the debris signature, it has to hit something for us to be able to see it. Now, because this is mainly prairie land and grasslands and fields, it's going to be hard for that to happen, but there are some trees out here, and we may be able to keep that debris signature and be able to pinpoint exactly where it is. But it will cross Highway 12, probably out here near the county line of Holmes and Humphreys County. And if it stays on the same track, and let's just kind of go here, you know, with me, Chula, dead ringer. If it doesn't turn right, which it could very well turn right, a little bit more away from the flow, if it does do that, it's more so Mileston, but right now it looks like it's more so Chula, or in between the two towns. But at any rate, these two areas, if you live in Mileston or Chula, I'd be looking at that and saying, I need to get to where I need to get and get safe. If you don't feel safe in your home right now, take the time immediately. If you can get to somewhere quickly that you feel a little safer, maybe you got a house maybe right down the road, you live in a mobile home, you got your mom's house or grandma's house is a little bit more sturdy, get there now in Chula, okay? Don't take the extra minute. Go there now.
Yeah.
Okay? We can give you, let's put a storm track on that. Well, I'm saying that because I don't want people to be out there.
We've got about
10 minutes.
But just between Chula and Mileston, we have about 2,000 residents in that area. So this is significant.
So we're saying 9 o'clock in Chula, about that. Subtract 5 minutes. So really, again, Chula's small, okay? Small town. Same thing with Mileston, small community up there along 49 East. Take the time right now. Get to your safe place immediately, okay? If that just happens to be the house down the road at your grandma's or your mom's, get there now, okay? Because this is not a storm to mess with. We've already seen the damage as it made its way across through Sharkey County. It's moving through Humphreys County. I would go ahead and say that based off of what we've seen, midnight to Silver City, probably tornado damage through there. This thing has been on the ground the entire time. It will cross Highway 12, and if it stays on the same track, very close to Chula and Mileston, it's heading in your direction, crossing 49 East and coming up on the other side of Highway 12, because you know Highway 12 stops here at Mileston, and then you turn north to keep going on Highway 12 to head out towards Lexington. That storm right there has no indicators that it's not going to keep doing what it's doing. No indicators that it's not going to keep producing a tornado. It may get a little weaker. Hopefully that's the case, but there's no indicators that say that this thing's going to completely lift here in the short term.
And this honestly is reminiscent of probably the last time I can remember where we had a long track tornado like this that just didn't let up, and that would be back to the Bassfield situation of 2020. And so you can see right now that it's about to approach Grass Lake. What are you looking at here? I want to make sure that everybody's clear on what we're showing you. This is the inflow and the outflow of winds, all right? And that's upper end of the scale right there, my friends. Now, I know we're a few thousand feet up in the sky here, okay? But that's really significant when you have this kind of coupling in the atmosphere, all right? And that is a significant storm, not just by size, but also by intensity, and we can't underscore that enough. Let's look at Debris Tracker again, and Debris Tracker has really shrunk, and that's because, as Patrick noted, this is really grassland, grass lake, grassland out here. There's not a lot as far as population is concerned, but it is nearing, all right, parts of western Holmes County, and in that Chula, Mileston area, there's about 2,000 people that reside here, right along Highway 49, okay, and this is something that's very concerning. So this is where the debris ball is kind of lessening up a little bit, but we're going to be watching it very closely. Peyton.
Storm spotters are reporting that there is significant damage just south of Highway 149 and Highway 49 with a search and rescue underway in Silver City.
All right, that's right here on the map, just so everybody gets perspective. This is where the storm came from just a few minutes ago, moving through Silver City. That's to be expected because of the significance of this storm. Intensity, long-track tornado, a violent tornado at that, and we're thinking it's got quite a bit of intensity. Patrick.
35 to 40 miles on the ground so far. 35 to 45
That's
miles.
how long this thing's tracked.
Yeah,
and it's still got a ways to go.
Yep, unfortunately.
Still got a ways to go. We've got Holmes County in front of us here. If you're in Belzona, the tornado from this particular cell, the tornado threat has lifted, but you're still dealing with quite a bit of heavy rain out here. Can we go to regular radar just for a second before we start getting back into a populated area? Let's pop out a little bit here just to give folks perspective. You may not be where this storm is impacting. This area that we're looking at here, western Holmes County and northern Humphreys counties, about 60, 70 miles northwest of Jackson, just to give you perspective on it. Let's go to regional radar. I just don't want folks to miss out on anything. I don't want you to think we're ignoring one for the other, but obviously we have a very dangerous situation with several people being injured now, a long-track tornado going through our lower Delta counties here. There's not much going on in the metro at this point. This is the back edge of the storm system. We can at least see that. I'm happy that we can see that. It can't get here soon enough, but it's out there nonetheless around Monroe. That is about 120 miles, that is about 80 to 120 miles west of Jackson. So we're getting a little clarity here as to how far the back end of this storm is right now. Okay, so we have some pictures that we're now getting in as well. We'd like to share with you. Tornado damage from Sharkey County. This is to show you. And you can see that there's a lot of trees knocked over. It looks like a lot of the trees are stripped there of any leaves that they may have had prior to the storm moving in. Again, this is at nighttime. Here's another picture taken. You can see that tree. Now, that could be a dead tree for all I know, but I'm looking at the other trees in the background, and they are all stripped, it looks like. So again, a horrible situation playing out in Rolling Fork tonight. Fred Miller supplying those pictures to us. We've talked to the mayor who's trapped in his home. We have had confirmed injuries and quite a bit of significant damage from vehicles to homes, and reports of people that are trapped in their homes right now. Much of Sharkey County is without power. Power outages have been resulting, of course, from this storm. And as we continue to look at this, which is near the Grass Lake community, nothing's changed. It's just the same storm moving over new territory now, and this is going to continue to move across Highway 12 here in the Grass Lake area and eventually wind up close to Chula and Wyatt in the near future. Now, if it can maintain this, it might be more of a Chula to Kruger type of storm on Highway 49 East. Regardless, we're now about 10 miles away. I'm going to tell you, the rate this thing's moving, you're 5 minutes out. You've got 5 minutes. Even though it says 9 o'clock, pretend this is off by 5 minutes, because the way this thing is moving, you're not going to have a lot of time. Once it's on you, you can't do anything at that point. This looks like a very violent tornado, and a large one.
And this is to 60 mile an hour.
Wow.
So it's now moving at 60. So we have it increasing in speed. That means we know the winds are 60 miles per hour. We know what 60 mile per hour winds can do. And when Peyton was measuring this before, we were about 100 miles per hour going up in the sky a little bit. So we know what we're looking at here. We know what this is, and this is going to be moving through the northwest part of Holmes County here over the next 20 to 30 minutes. A tornado emergency remains in effect for much of this area, and for good reason.
Just looking at this, Dave, I mean, you know, you can't. This is unmistakably a dangerous situation, and I'm glad that we zoomed out. We told y'all today, listen, there may be a few storms out there, just a few, but they will be mighty wherever they just happen to be. And unfortunately, we also honed in on the South Delta and said, hey, probably we have one or two storms flaring up down south. The next thing is going to happen, the storms are going to flare up to the north and west. That's what's happened. Now, we are still seeing that debris signature. It's not as bright. It doesn't have the blue in there, but it is still a debris signature nonetheless. That has just crossed Highway 12 near the Grass Lake area. Again, this is in wildlife management area, so there are likely not many folks who live in this area, but the folks who do live out here, this is an impactful situation. Now, obviously, the next area in line here would be out near Chula. The one thing that may be a saving grace, it will be a close call. I still think that Chula, you've got to be in a safe place no matter what. It looks like it may be, and correct me if you think I'm wrong here, it may have turned a little bit more to the left. Let's just roll this back a little bit and see. It seems like it's just a straight line, but it may have turned just enough that it may pass just north of Chula downtown. But it doesn't matter. If you got Chula address, I'm still in my safe place.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it was looking more of a Mileston Chula problem before, especially if it would have turned more to the right. But this thing's maintaining almost like a beeline path, going from southwest to northeast. So I really do think it's going to be Chula, Wyatt, somewhere in there between Kruger and Chula. If this turns right, it's a bad place right now for it to turn right. Yeah. Because that would take it right over Chula. We got 1,600 residents in Chula right there alone. Rolling Fork has about 1,700 residents. So we're getting into some population centers here, and that increases the risk of injury and, of course, significant damage. Most of Sharkey County right now is without power. Damage is reported to be quite heavy in many places and significant. We also have damage reports coming in from the Silver City area of Humphreys County. So this is a dangerous situation, and now when you're looking at this area, we've got time to get you ready. All right, the debris ball may not look like much, but there's not much around the Grass Lake area. In all due respect to anybody who lives close to Grass Lake, I'm just talking about sheer numbers of population. There's not a lot of folks that live near there. There's not a lot of trees either. It's a grassy area, so as a result, the debris ball is not going to be large anyway, under any circumstances. But now, as we're going to start getting into western Holmes County, we're going to start getting into more trees. We're going to start getting closer to population centers such as Chula and a little bit of Wyatt. We are possibly going to see more problems unless this tornado just somehow starts to weaken or lift up into the sky, and I hope it does that. I'm all for it, but I'm just telling you right now that's not the case. Getting some reports here. Katie Fennell checking in on Facebook saying around up from Yazoo all the way up through Belzona, the sky just is lighting up constantly, just continually lit up. That is common in this type of situation. We do see lightning, which is frequent, if not just continuous, when you have tornadic activity like this. Another thing that we've been noticing with this is hail. And the hail's been changing from time to time during the course of this evening with this particular storm. We had some large hail a little while ago. Now we just have a generalized amount of penny-sized hail from this storm as it's moving from southwest to northeast. But before it made it into Sharkey County, the hail was actually quite a bit larger, and in fact we were getting indications that the hail was 1 3/4 inches. I think they've dropped that now to quarter-size hail, if I'm not mistaken, Peyton. But again, this storm is going to come very close to Chula, and I just can't explain enough about what I'm seeing here, that this is something you just don't see very often. What we're looking at here, winds blowing away from the radar, winds blowing into the radar. This is your tornado. When you have conflicting winds like this, you've got your circulation. In this case, we're at the end of the scale here just about, all right? And when you start seeing that, that's just not common. And when you see it, you don't see it over a long period of time. We've been talking about this, I don't know, 30 minutes now? It's been like this, maybe longer, this particular inflow and outflow field. And so this is something that's really, really dangerous and, again, very indicative of a long-track tornado and a nighttime one, too, which, again, just lends itself to how severe the situation is right now. Areas of western Holmes County, please get ready. It is now moving in. Patrick.
I was just going to say, let's back down into western Humphreys County really quick, because it looks like we may have something trying to spin up back over here closer to midnight. Let's go over to velocity. See right there?
There we go.
That wouldn't be a good situation.
That's not a good situation because
it would be falling in the same path.
Same path. You know, dueling tornadoes. Remember that, Dave?
Yep.
Unfortunately, there's still a tornado warning in effect, obviously, for Humphreys County. I'm watching that, though, and saying, okay, something's not right there. We may have a redevelopment of another tornado about 10 miles to the south and west of the current one that's about to head into Chula. So we're going to watch that. There's no indicator right now that says, okay, that's a tornado, but it does look like it is increasing in rotation back here. Let's go back over to traditional radar really quick. Just want to see what that looks like. And yeah, you see the hook, you see the inflow notch there. So that's approaching Highway 14 and Highway 149. This is the same area that we just talked about that just got wrecked by a tornado about 15-20 minutes ago. And we have reports of significant damage around Silver City at 149 and 49 West. And we have search and rescue ongoing out there. You know, so we need to get some heads up here for the folks who may be out and about trying to help others, because there might be another tornado trying to form back here on the back side of this thing, trying to lift off to the north. Now let's go back over here to the main one. Don't try to go out and look for it because it's definitely rain wrapped. But circulation right there. There's the town of Chula right here. Here's Highway 12. Once you head out on Highway 12 about 3 or 4 miles, you start heading up into the hills. You start getting up into the trees. But this is still all flat land. But if you're in Chula right now, let's go over to velocity. You see that where it's currently located at? It's near the river. Circulation maybe about a mile or two to the north, but you're getting strong winds no matter what. Near the Wyatt community as well, about 2 or 3 miles north of Chula. Safe place now, interior room, away from windows, lowest floor of your home. This is an extremely dangerous situation. And I think that as we get into Holmes County a little deeper, into more of a forested area, I think we're going to start to see that this thing is still churning and still on the ground and still causing damage right now. But again, based off of what we're seeing, we have this main one. The second one we're watching near midnight. You got to be in a safe place. I'd say if you're in midnight, there's technically still a tornado warning out for you guys. Go ahead and be in a safe place, midnight in Silver City, because this thing is heading in your direction. And if you know somebody who may not have power, you got to text them and let them know now that midnight Silver City, there's a circulation coming up for 149.
Getting a lot of stories right now that are coming out of the rubble in parts of Sharkey County. A restaurant that's in Rolling Fork named Chuck's was heavily damaged tonight. There were a lot of people apparently eating there in the restaurant, maybe working there as well. Some of them rode it out in the freezer, of all things. From what I understand, they're okay. They're just trapped. We're getting reports that a lot of people are trapped in Rolling Fork. We know this. But they survived. So that's the good news. The restaurant, they said, is heavily damaged. Again, some of the stories that we're getting from this are just unbelievable, and we're obviously, at least at this point, it's okay. We haven't heard too many reports of injuries, but again, the damage looks like it's pretty significant right now. This is Debris Tracker, and we are getting closer and closer to Highway 49. There's Chula, just to show you the streets of Chula here, the downtown area. You start getting farther north towards Wyatt, and this is where the storm is going to come very close, the cell right there, to Highway 49, right by where the Wyatt community resides. That is where the debris tracker is located right now. A lot of folks giving us these reports. I appreciate you so much for sharing them with us. We want you to be safe, and we are working to get additional folks on the phone and reports for you. Obviously, when we're reaching out to emergency officials, a lot of them are busy right now handling the situation at hand, so we can only grab them for a second or two. They may not be able to talk to us on the phone, and that's completely fine. We understand that, but we're still going to reach out and try to get information to you as much as possible. I do know there are a lot of folks right now on Facebook asking about family and friends in these areas, and we can't get you that information specifically because of the fact of what we're dealing with right now with this tornado moving on through. All right, so we zoom out a little bit. Debris tracker looks a little promising at this point. Again, it is approaching the Wyatt area. It's going to be north of downtown Chula, but this storm is, again, one to be reckoned with, and it's continuing to move northeastward towards the open areas of northern Holmes County here, just coming out of Grass Lake. In fact, right now it's moving right over Wyatt there. That's where the debris tracker is, and there's not much to the debris ball at this point, but that still looks like this. Look at this tornado. They won't line up exactly. All right, when you look at the map, you may say, well, wait a minute, the debris tracker's here, but the actual inflow and outflow is here. Remember, the storm is probably wiggling in the atmosphere here. It's not straight from bottom to top. It's probably, has leanings and whatever. So you're going to see differences, especially over altitude. You'll see differences as to where the storm is. We're a little bit higher up in the storm, and that thing is moving so quickly. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. This thing is racing. I don't know, 60, maybe 65 miles per hour, but it just crossed Highway 49, and it is now moving further and further to the northeast towards the Adair area. Alcona, you're going to need to prepare for this, but this may miss you. If this keeps going on this path, we think it's probably going to be out of Holmes County in the next 20 minutes or so. And let's hope so, because this is a mess right now.
And it looks like they updated the warning there. Instead of going with the tornado emergency, it's still a confirmed tornado, but with considerable damage possible. But they did take away the tornado emergency for that storm. But still, needless to say, it doesn't matter. Tornado's a tornado, and we know it at this point. As we were looking, the debris signature may have lifted a little bit. It's going through a rural area, so we may have not seen very much, but it's about to go through not necessarily a more populated area, but it may be going through a more forested area. Because as you get up here past the bluff, that's when you start getting up in the hills and you start getting up into some trees here. So I think that based off of the indicators, and we know how strong these updrafts have been so far today, it wouldn't be surprised if we see that debris signature come up, and there's all indicators that this thing's probably still on the ground, so it doesn't matter even if you don't have a debris signature or not. It's more than likely based off of just the rotational signature that this thing's still on the ground at this point in time. And
just want to mention that report about Chucks. I want to give credit to Anna Sanchez for reporting that to us. That was back in Rolling Fork. Now here we are again in Silver City, potentially
and
another cell.
The warning for this area, I don't know if it was expire or cancel, but it's no longer in effect. So we need to keep a close eye on maybe the secondary rotation that's trying to get going as we were watching. If there, we don't have any confirmation, of course, of anything on the ground, but and even with that scan, it looks maybe a little bit more intense as that now moves away from Silver City. So we're
there's definitely rotation there. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and that's just one to watch, but of course not as intense as the one that we've been following.
Yeah, this is something that I can tell you right now, this is stuff that they're probably going to put in textbooks, because this thing has just been, so well defined here for such a long period of time. What do you think? We're up to 50 miles now on this path?
It's probably 50, 55 miles, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this would rival that Easter set, you know,
Yeah.
Back in 2020. And I was at school talk today, and somebody asked me, when was the last time that we had an EF4 or EF5 tornado? And I thought about it, and it was the Easter set, and then there was the one in Sandy Hook in Marion County the week later. You know, so, you know, we are no stranger to these things, but this part of the world, I don't think has seen a large tornado like this in quite some time, and especially one that has been long tracked like this. It wasn't terribly long ago that we just had the anniversary of the 1971 tornadoes through the South Delta.
That's what he was just talking about when we were speaking. I believe it was the former mayor or the current. I can't remember.
The former mayor.
Okay, and he said that they haven't seen anything like it since then. Again, you know, just getting the initial damage reports out of Rolling Fork, Silver City, it's pretty bad. So we're waiting to get additional reports, checking things out. It's just awful on a Friday evening to have this happen. But again, after dark, which makes it that much more frightening for a lot of folks. We just hope that you're staying safe. A lot of folks are without power. And the other problem that we're dealing with, too, is cell phones. Cell phone towers could be heavily damaged in these areas, too. So trying to deal with communications is not so easy. They're typically, just so you know how things work, typically, even if all the cell phone towers are knocked out, police communications usually have another tier where they can still get communications out, regardless of whether you're using a cell phone tower. Now, a lot of times it's satellite or it's a different form of communication. So I just want you to know that, but not a place you want to be in this situation. Peyton.
We are getting reports of severe destruction on Jackson Avenue in Silver City, numerous entrapments with significant injuries. So that's something that we definitely do not want to hear.
Yeah, I saw some communications. I couldn't verify it, but I saw some communications from Pafford and some of the ambulance companies, and they were talking about the size of the tornado that they were getting reports of. Let's share good news wherever we find it, okay? The debris ball isn't that impressive at all. It's barely existent right now with this storm. That's the great news. The bad news is we have a well-defined circulation here that is still sitting in the northern part of Holmes County. This will exit Holmes County by about 9:15. So in about 10 minutes or so, we will have this exit the area, and that's certainly some good news. Let's take a look at the rest of the region here real quick. Let's do regular radar for just so folks that may not be in this area get a perspective, because we want to know what's still in store for this evening. All right, so the metro is just seeing scattered showers. The bad stuff is right here, Holmes County moving northward. We have to pay very close attention to this. What you see here west of Vicksburg, up through Rolling Fork to Silver City, more thunderstorm activity trying to develop, and we're not theoretically in the clear until we get rid of this. This is the back end of that storm system. So I just want to let you know that we still got a little ways to go here before we can let our guard down. We are all under this, most of us are under this tornado watch until midnight tonight. I say most of us. The southernmost counties have not been included in the tornado watch. All right, but right now, we've got a long-track tornado that continues moving through northern Holmes County. Doesn't look maybe as impressive on regular radar as it did, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 minutes ago, but you get the idea, and it's just about to cross the border here and be outside of Holmes County and basically moving into north-central Mississippi away from our viewing area before long. But we still have these thunderstorms that are lurking out there in the lower delta, and that line of storms, as it moves into more instability, could cause problems. Patrick.
Just seeing some reports coming in. A few miles north of Chula, near the Wyatt area, trees and power lines are down, still assessing damage up that way, and looks like a new watch is probably going to come out that's going to be downstream of this one that's currently in effect. And to your point, Dave, you know, when we were looking at the hour-by-hour forecast today, let me tell you, that model has played out almost perfectly today. Look, debris ball signature right there.
There we go.
There it is. Get in those hills, and next thing you know, it's on the ground. You know,
it's probably bouncing right now. That's the whole thing. And you know,
it probably never left the ground. It just was moving over an area that wasn't
no debris.
No debris.
Yeah.
Even though that we know that trees are down in this area right now along 49 East, which we're just now getting that word in. The thing is that as I mentioned earlier, we tracked that first storm that went up through Rankin County and Simpson County. That was well defined on our hour-by-hour forecast model this morning, okay? And it never left. It was on there for 3 consecutive runs. The same thing is happening right here. 8 o'clock in the evening, storms are flaring up over in northeastern Louisiana, going up through the South Delta, and the storms that Dave was just mentioning that are starting to flare up back over towards Vicksburg or north of Vicksburg, those could very well become supercellular. These storms are not overturning the atmosphere. This is a very odd situation. You know, sometimes we talk about the storms overturning the atmosphere. This is not happening today. Until that squall line comes through here, the atmosphere is not going to overturn. So this thing is going to be rocking and rolling until it's done with us. We've been talking about that pressure cooker. Well, the pressure cooker is done, and it blew its top this afternoon. Again, tornado on the ground here, moving up through northern portions of Holmes County. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. Again, this would be like up here near Black Hawk and Oconto, across Highway 17 here soon enough. And you see some of these roads here. Let's see here. This will be Banks Road, Providence Road, High Cotton Road, as well as Phillips Road, Randall Road. I think that's Oldman Road. Again, needless to say, this is moving off to the north and east. This will cross 17 north of Lexington, but you may have a Lexington address if you're on the north side of town, heading up Highway 17, heading up towards the Carroll County line. But right now, definitely tornado down on this one. Probably never left the ground, to be honest with you, based off of what we've been seeing. The circulation definitely there and lifting off to the north. Let's go back over to the storm that's in Humphreys County, because while we've been tracking this one.
And it's funny because, not funny, but they are noting that
it's starting to wrap up.
Yeah.
And this one may be something that we have to pay attention to, especially around Chula.
Yes.
It looks like it's going to track almost paralleling this path. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. So Chula, I would say just go ahead and be in a safe place. We're out in this rural area that we were talking about. This is a wildlife management area right here. But that thing is wrapping up quick. And it is maybe smaller in stature than what you just saw moving through here about 20 minutes ago. But that thing right there is definitely going up, and looks like they just issued, did they issue a new tornado warning on that?
They are just continuing.
Continue this one.
Yes.
Okay, but this is about to move into that tornado warning anyways, and based off what we're seeing, it's about to roll over the exact same area. It is paralleling that tornado. It is eerily reminiscent of what we had back in Easter of 2020 when we had two EF4 tornadoes 8 miles apart from each other at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, basically in the same vein.
I remember thinking to myself, is this real?
It was real, but it didn't feel real.
It didn't.
Not that
day.
day.
Something like that, and that was the first time in my 30 years of doing TV that I ever saw anything like that. You know, watching this second cell starting to develop here, let's pay attention to it very closely, see what it's going to do. It's right now near the Grass Lake area, which again, similar track to the storm before it. This looks a lot smaller than the first storm, but this just goes to show. And I think I said this tonight earlier, if you caught it. I said after 7 p.m. this will be a different storm system. We're going to know what we're dealing with after 7 p.m. During the day, you pretty much have the sunlight that acts as the fuel. But at night, this tells you what true ingredients are out there. We just had a tornado come through this area, folks. Didn't do a thing to the atmosphere. Did not do a thing. In fact, probably fed off of it, honestly, is what it did. And so I'm letting you know that while this one cell here is about to exit Holmes County, we got this other guy here near Grass Lake, and we have to pay close attention to it because, again, if this one didn't take out the atmosphere and knock it down a notch, this one's just going to feed off of it as well. There's no reason to believe any otherwise. So that's really what we're looking at here. Let's look at the regular radar for a second because I want to show folks, even if you're not getting the tornado and you're still in Holmes County, you still have this very intense rainfall. All the way back to Belzona, it's raining hard. It's raining in Silver City, where there's significant damage that's been reported, and injuries too. And so we go a little bit further out. Let's get the bigger picture again for everybody so they can get an idea. We still have this line of storms that we got to watch. It's coming out of Sharkey and Issaquah counties. It's headed for Warren. It's headed for Yazoo, and it's headed for Holmes counties. And then we can't turn our heads on this. This isn't producing any tornadic weather at this point in time, but this really is representing the back edge of the storm system, which is still a few hours away. Big story, though, for tonight is significant tornado damage and injuries being reported in Rolling Fork, as well as Silver City, Mississippi this evening from a large and also a significant tornado that struck the area. You can see debris ball right now just south of the border here. It's about to move into the north central, that'll be Montgomery County, and then come out a little bit more. That's the debris field there, and then come out a little bit more. We're going to go farther west, and that's where we're going to pay attention to what's happening near Grass Lake. No debris signature with it right now, but this particular storm is also racing northeastward, and this will be placed into that same tornado warning area within the next couple of minutes. It's moving very quickly. This is going to track just north of Chula. Sound familiar? It's going to track just north of Chula, across Highway 49. This is a circulation at this point. This is not the same thing as this tornado that is now crossing the line and moving out of Holmes County. So somewhat of some good news that the worst of the storm is now exiting our viewing area, but we still have to pay very close attention to what this particular cell is starting to do. Patrick?
I was going to say, I was just kind of seeing if they were going to go ahead and issue a new warning on this, but, it's running into the same warning.
Yeah.
So it kind of covers it no matter what. Even if this is not producing a tornado, it has the look of it, and we're already on the air, so we might as well go ahead and talk about it, because this thing's going to head in your direction, the same spots that we literally just talked about not terribly long ago. As this one's leaving, this one's heading out now, Passaconau up towards Black Hawk and Highway 17, up here in southern portions of Carroll County, northern portions of Holmes County. If you're in Lexington, again, the second one's going to pass north of you too, but still, it's there. It's unmistakable. Let's go over to the debris signature and see if we see anything. And nothing of note, not like what we saw obviously earlier. That's good news. Let's hope that it stays that way. But just based off of that, it's hard to mistake that something could try to get going with this. On the broader scale, the one thing I try to emphasize today, and I think all of us try to emphasize, not everybody's going to see storms. We've been talking about storms up here in the South Delta for the last hour and a half now, and we really haven't talked about everybody else. I understand if you're in Jackson, if you're in Brookhaven, you're in Macomb, it's been quiet here recently. There's some rain showers out here. I get it. I understand. But unfortunately, we know that we had a tornado come rolling through Rolling Fork, without a doubt. Injuries reported. We know without a doubt Silver City got hit by a tornado, the same one. And that storm is now exiting out of the area, heading up towards the north and east, heading up into southern portions of Carroll County. There is the wording, as I said today. There might be few, but they might be mighty. And there's your few and mighty right there. We're still looking at the squall line out to the west. We still got to get this to shift through here. Once that's through, things will improve. Tomorrow's going to be a great day. Tomorrow's going to be a great day, okay? But we got to get past this. But if you had a tornado come through your backyard, it's not going to be a great day, no matter what, no matter how you shake it. Even if it's beautiful outside and 82 degrees outside like we're forecasting tomorrow, it's not going to be a great day for you guys, because you got to deal with a whole new outlook on life very quickly. Again, storm exiting out towards the north and east, heading up into Carroll County. So the lead circulation that we've been talking about that has been on the ground since, I would say, probably northern Issaquena County, is now moving up into Carroll County. So we know we probably have some folks up here in southern Carroll County that are watching this. It's crossing 430 and heading up towards the north. It will cross 55, probably up near Winona and Baden, between Winona and Baden. So up near Carroll County, Montgomery County, here very shortly. That secondary circulation, watching that closely. Chula, Wyatt, Highway 49 East, it will cross there here shortly. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I thought they were issuing they downstream the warning from Carroll County, but I didn't know if it was for that new rotation.
Yeah, I mean, it's inside the polygon now. And, it was the same thing that happened earlier when it was in Humphreys County. It was like, it was just there inside of the polygon, so just kind of let it ride. But the fact is that it's there, and it is possible that we could have to tangle with that. Like you said, a new tornado warning just came out, and they did downstream that. They include Baden and Winona and off to the north and east. So, again, that lead circulation finally exiting, new circulation approaching 49 East. And as we mentioned, again, few but mighty, and this has been the mighty up here in the South Delta. Dave?
Let's go over to Maggie Wade right now. She's also covering the storm for us this evening, and she's got an interview with MEMA and the latest information as to what they're covering. Maggie?
All right, Dave, thank you so much. Right now, Mallory White is on the phone with us. She is the communications director for the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency. And what are you hearing right now in terms of Rolling Fork? I know that you have some teams that are headed that way.
Yes, so we do have state search and rescue assets that are deploying. They're asking for a full task force to go, particularly to the Rolling Fork area, along with state health assets. They're headed up to the local hospital in that area as well to assess any potential damage to the building, to the facility, and to ensure that those patients are taken care of, or if they need additional assistance, they are there. And so we're currently coordinating with our state human services as well to assess any of the needs of those that may have been displaced or affected by this severe weather. And then, of course, whenever it's daylight, we are going to have a real look at just how extensive this damage is, and MEMA will begin those damage assessments along with the locals. Something that we do during something this severe, we've already alerted FEMA, and they are monitoring as well. At this time, though, we don't have any reports of injuries or fatalities. It is still very soon. Right now, our locals are focused on life safety and those search and rescue missions right now.
And when we think of search and rescue, that indicates that there are people who are possibly trapped due to this severe weather. Is that correct?
That is what we think, and so that's what the state search and rescue assets are doing. They're going up there to assess the situation and to assist in any way possible where they can.
Now, we also, again, because we know that something has happened here, we believe it was a tornado. You don't have any numbers at this point. Everything is preliminary because, as you said, emergency officials right now are on the ground trying to save lives and find out exactly what's going on.
Exactly, and so right now they're making sure that people are alive, people are accounted for, so they're not really focused on counting the number of houses that are damaged. They're making sure that the people are accounted for, and that's their main priority, life safety. And so we know that whenever a local entity may get overwhelmed, state resources are going to be needed. Well, we've already started deploying those to those locals to ensure that they have every asset that they need to make sure that they're successful in their mission.
And just to be clear, Mallory, right now it seems that officials there are asking for this help because of all the damage and what has happened in Rolling Fork. Is that right?
So we have had a few issues with getting in contact with some of the locals on the ground. So our ESF-9, our search and rescue assets, they went ahead and deployed up there just to be forward and just to be proactive. So they went ahead to that area to start assisting.
Can you tell us how many teams are headed there? How many people are involved in the search and rescue?
At this time, I don't have an exact personnel count. I'll work to get that information and follow up with you. But they are asking for a full task force to go up there. So that's going to be a number of folks to assist in this mission.
And we know that this severe weather is not over, so we know that MEMA is still on call, still working around the clock to keep Mississippians safe.
Look, we are here 365, 24/7. Life safety is our number one priority. We cannot thank the locals enough, though, for the job that they do. They are the boots on the ground. Those are the first responders, and we are just here to assist them whenever we are needed. And that's what we're doing. We're here. We're ready. And if they need more assistance, we've got it coming their way.
All right, thank you so much. We've been talking with Mallory White. She's the communications director for MEMA. And let's go back to our First Alert Weather Team and Chief Meteorologist Dave Roberts.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Again, very much a team effort going on here behind the scenes and in front of the scenes here at WLBT and Fox 40 tonight. The main tornado that we originally were warning on has now moved northward, but we're still looking at this circulation here, less prominent, less impressive on the radar. And I want to just throw it to Peyton Garrison, meteorologist Peyton Garrison here for a second. Why don't you tell us what's behind that? Because that tornado warning continues at least for a little while longer for the initial storm that came through.
Yeah, for that initial storm, which is now technically out of our local viewing area now in Carroll County, and now is more of a concern for those in Winona. We're still watching this other area of rotation, which is now north of Wyatt. Does not look nearly as impressive as the previous one that we've been tracking for quite some time. But again, it's still included and is tracking through that same tornado warning polygon, and that goes until 9:30. So this polygon right here in Holmes County will expire at 9:30, but of course that area of rotation will still exist. So the National Weather Service is monitoring it along with us. Of course, it doesn't look to be as imminent as a threat as the other one, but still one to watch. If you're still included within this polygon in northern Holmes County, I would still just be in that tornado safe place just in case.
And I was just going to say, just reading some of the posts, for coming in on Facebook and Twitter of what's happened down in Rolling Fork, our hearts are out to them, because it seems like this was a very significant damage hit. Getting reports that the hospital was damaged, and they're having to transport people down to Vicksburg. Mm-hmm. That's an issue in of itself. If there's major injuries,
we're seeing a lot of folks getting transported to hospitals that aren't, the storm spotters, right? Didn't you see that?
The storm chasers themselves are the ones transporting injured people to hospitals, not actual first responders.
And that's hard, because, I mean, Issaquah and Sharkey counties are extremely rural counties, and there has been, they have a combined hospital. I mean, the two counties have a combined hospital, and if you take one out, the closest ones you have to go to are either Belzona or you got to go down south to Vicksburg, and that's where they're taking people. That's 60 miles.
Right, I was going to say, we're 50, 60 miles away from Vicksburg at this point.
And I'm seeing this on social media, that this is per Rolling Fork, Mississippi police officer, that there's major tornado damage. We need as many ambulances as possible and any help for search and rescue in this town.
So it sounds like MEMA is responding.
Yes.
They've heard the call, and it sounds to me like they are responding there. It's kind of heartbreaking. You go on, I was on Facebook watching a lot of viewer comments. I'm not seeing a lot coming from there because the power's out, and a lot of folks are injured, but I am seeing a lot of folks worried about their family in places like Rolling Fork and Silver City. And we're going to have a lot of stories, something tells me, coming out of this about how folks made it through the tornado. The only thing I can tell you is hopefully the warning. We were on the air quite a bit in advance of this tornado hitting Rolling Fork, but still, did folks get the warning? Yeah. Did they know about the warning? We have different ways of getting you warnings. There's people that pay attention to the TV. There's people that live on Facebook. There's people that pay attention to our apps. We push these alerts. You can have settings on your phone where you get the tornado warnings. So getting the information, that wasn't the problem. The question is, did folks get that information? And that's the real crux of what went on tonight. And I hope that whatever injuries we're dealing with are minor injuries. It does not look that way from the situation that's playing out, the reports that we are seeing. And again, we have to be very careful too in some of the pictures that we share with you on TV, because we can't just grab someone's post and put it on TV and say, here you go, because again, we have to verify it as a news organization. We want to make sure we're giving you the most accurate information. So we do take a pause. We take a step back sometimes, and instead of showing you what could be a gory sight or what could be, possibly the wrong information, we don't want to do that. So we're working on getting you that. We have crews in that area right now, and as soon as we can get you a live report and we'll get you those videos, we will share them with you. But I want you to know it's a little bit different in this environment than when you're talking about social media.
Yeah.
So social media, people take a picture, they can share it. It could be of a tornado taken 3 years ago, and they will still look at the tornado. So we want to be very clear that once we're showing you something, that we vetted it, and we made sure that, in fact, that is related to Rolling Fork or Silver City.
And at sidebar, you see the black box going up for the storm coming out for Winona. So, I know that's outside of our viewing area, but I know we have some folks who travel up towards Winona, and that's a big spot. That's I-55 and Highway 82. Those are two major roadways here in the state. Tornado emergency now out for that storm there. It's going dead on to Winona. So, if you know anybody in the Winona area, you can give them the heads up. We still have that tornado warning storm. Technically, it's not for that storm. It's actually for this one that's about to come out of that polygon and move into the new one that is now tornado emergency for the city of Winona. But We still have a bit of circulation here. That's why we're staying on with you at this point, because we're looking at that. It looks a little out of phase, but there's still some strong winds associated with it at any rate, and it just moved over the same area that just got affected by this storm, which is a massive monster, which is about to cross I-55 here very shortly at Highway 82. If you know anybody that was traveling to Memphis or heading down from Memphis or even Grenada or Winona, tell them they got to stop. That thing's going to come across I-55 right there at the Winona exit.
This is a dangerous situation. I was supposed to be one of those people, ironically.
Yeah, you're supposed to be in Starkville
I'm
tomorrow.
speaking in about 12 hours in Starkville at a storm conference in the morning, and I said I'm waiting out the storm. It might be middle of the night, but I'm going to get there nonetheless. What kind of presentation I give at 10 o'clock in the morning is probably remains to be seen. But the bottom line is I'm going to be talking about this event, and I want to tell you we're coming up on 9:30 here. We're going to shift our coverage a little bit. We're going to stay on, okay? There's too many folks right now that need to know what's going on, not just from the weather standpoint, but from the news standpoint as well. All right, so we're going to continue to stay on TV, even if the warning goes away here for Holmes County, and it's really important. One of the things we're going to accomplish here is we're going to bring you more news reports from Rolling Fork and Silver City. That's number one. Number two, we're going to continue to provide weather coverage for those places, because there may be folks that have access to us on their phone, and it may be the only information they can get, and they may be involved in recovery operations or what have you. We want to make sure that those folks get the TLC that they need right now as far as information is concerned. And then we're going to shift our focus a little bit in weather and show you what's going on for the rest of the year. I know I've neglected the metro, and I know I've neglected other places. It's only because there hasn't been significant weather impacting you at this point.
And that's good.
Yeah, it's great. We're going to peel back a little bit, though, on this, and so we're going to give you a little bit more enhanced coverage of the storm system. So right now, I want to show you a radar. Let's go to regional radar here and just show you exactly what the setup is across our area right now. So this is the metro. We have a line of showers and storms, unimpressive, moving across Metro Jackson right now. Just some moderate rain and some pretty gusty wind, and that's about it. The tornado warning that was out for Holmes County is now gone. It expired at 9:30. We do not have any tornado warnings in effect technically in the WLBT or Fox 40 viewing area. We do have two lines of storms that we are watching. This one here from western Holmes going through southern Humphreys County and then into southern Issaquah County. We're going to watch it. We have to watch it because this is still in that ripe environment for development. As this line progresses east and southeast, the tendency should be for it to weaken. All right, the tendency should be for it to weaken. But we can't count it out just yet, because until we get the back end of this storm system through, we're still going to be dealing with very unstable weather across our area. So again, that is the situation right now. If you're in Belzoni, you still have another line of showers to come through. If you're in Rolling Fork, you have another line of showers. And right now in Silver City, it's raining quite hard, but the weather will be improving gradually. But you still have probably two lines of showers and storms that are going to push through the area. What does this mean for Metro Jackson? There still is a significant storm threat, but as you can tell, the worst of the weather, as we've been saying all along, was going to be more to the north and west, and that has played out right now. So I see no reason to kind of diverge from that thinking, and I'm going to bring meteorologist Peyton Garrison into the mix right now and have her kind of contribute. And what do you think? I mean, as these storms progress during the course of this evening, do you think that we're going to see bigger problems in the Metro Jackson area? Probably this is kind of what we're dealing with.
In my opinion, I think we have probably seen the most significant storms that we would probably see for the night. Again, we have this tornado watch until midnight, so I still would not rule out another strong or severe storm, especially along the I-20 corridor northward. That's really where we have honed in our focus over the past couple of days when we have been talking about this severe risk. So I would not let your guard down just because we saw that pretty bad violent tornado already move out of our area. We're still not out of the woods 100%. I don't know what y'all's take is.
I agree with you completely on that. I don't want to throw Patrick into it because I don't think he heard the question. He stepped out for a second, but I will ask you the same question in a moment, Patrick. But I want to bring folks up to speed. It's just after 9:30 now on WLBT and Fox 40. And we have been covering a significant tornado, a long-track tornado that struck struck Rolling Fork, Mississippi earlier this evening, continued on through Silver City, did quite a bit of damage in both communities. There are injuries reported. There is significant structural damage. It's just really the scenes that we're getting, that we're being told of right now, pretty rough in those spots. And then that storm continued to move through Holmes County and exited out. But our two focus points, at least right now, are Silver City and Rolling Fork. They were hit very hard this evening, so we're staying on the air right now to provide weather information for folks that may not have access to much else at this point, but desperately need to know if it's safe to go from their home, if it's safe to do any kind of recovery. So we're going to do that. At the same time, our news department is efforting more ground reports. They have people in the field that are in both Sharkey and Humphreys counties right now, and we're going to be bringing you additional information as we get them. And we're still under a tornado watch.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was just back there in the newsroom. We do have Quentin Smith. He's almost to Rolling Fork.
Okay.
So we should be getting some reports from him soon. Him and Mike Evans.
It's a good 60 miles, 65 miles.
It takes an hour and a half up to get up there.
Because even you can't. It's not straight shot. You still got to deal with you know.
And then you got to get around tornado damage.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on. But we just talked to Quentin. He is about 4 minutes out. So there's a cell phone signal at least somewhere around there.
Okay.
So that's good news. So we should be able to get a report out, but to let you see what has happened. But I mean, based off of what we're seeing right now, I mean, and what we have seen, friends, this has been a significant storm. At least 60 miles on the ground.
Yeah.
At least just through our area. It's not including what's going on.
It's still going. Yeah,
it's still going.
It's still going off to the races there in north central Mississippi.
Yeah, so I mean, this thing's been on the ground now probably 70 miles, and going through the city of Winona as we speak. Tornado emergency up there. Like we said earlier, few but mighty. There's your few, and it was mighty. No matter how you shake it. That storm is going to continue northward. It looks like more so for Webster County. It should stay north. So if you know anybody around Starkville, Mississippi State, that should stay north of there, heading up towards closer to like Clay County and Webster County. But at any rate, friends, this has been a very significant scenario that has played out, unfortunately, for our friends in the South Delta. I really think that this thing started in northern Issaquah County, just south of Myersville, and worked its way up past Rolling Fork, just east of Anguilla, all the way up to Silver City and Midnight, and eventually made its way across Highway 12, and it probably was on the ground even when we lost to that debris signature as it was moving across 49 West. We have reports of trees and power lines down up near the Wyatt community, just north of Chula, and eventually it dropped it again as it was moving across northwestern portions of Holmes County, north of the Highway 12 corridor, and has been on the ground ever since then, all the way up into now heading up towards Montgomery County, and it continues its northward track. You know, we like to say this. Sometimes if we're not talking about your town, that's a good thing. And for a lot of you tonight, it has been, okay, get off the air. I get it. I understand. But for the folks, as we mentioned earlier, we're trying to get as much information because we know what's happening right now. We're seeing people on Facebook asking for help, and we're trying to get that information verified and get that information to you. As far as we know that the Sharkey-Issaquah Hospital has been damaged. They are having to divert people to other hospitals in the area. A lot of them are heading southward to Vicksburg. That is a good, that's a good 45-minute drive at least, and that's if you're booking it. And that's some windy, twisty road there on Highway 61 as you're coming down through southern portions of Sharkey County heading up towards Issaquah. Needless to say, you know, and we were just talking about it, it's not necessarily first responders. It's some of these storm chasers that have been out there. And unfortunately for them, they're about to get hit with another storm. Now, thankfully, this is not severe. Right now, this is not severe coming through Greenville, through central and southern portions of Washington County, heading out towards Glen Allen and Hollandale. But that is moving towards the east and southeast. This is your squall line that will just kind of lay itself down to the south here over the next couple of hours, and eventually will just kind of lazily finish itself over our area tonight into early tomorrow morning. We'll probably have some rain even tomorrow morning, but I don't think it's going to be very long lasting, and if anything, it's probably just a couple of showers prior to sunrise. But needless to say, this is a dangerous situation that has unfolded. Again, in the metro area, thank your lucky stars that you're not dealing with what these people up in the South Delta are dealing with tonight, and will have to deal with for the next forever, however long.
It's a different world 60 miles northwest of Jackson right now. And, Patrick, I want to put you on the spot, if you will. And by the way, this is Patrick's second shift today. Appreciate you coming back. And I really do appreciate you coming back. But what do you think's going to happen here? We've got 2 lines of storms, and that seems to be it. That's it to this storm system. So 2 lines of storms. As we start getting further to the southeast towards Jackson, do you think we're going to see a little bit of a weakening trend? Because certainly the forecast models have hinted at that, which they've done more than hint at this weather event the past few days. They've really nailed it from the standpoint of where the storms were going to be initially before sunset and where they are now after sunset. So I'm just curious, give me your perspective on what you see happening as it gets closer to the metro area over the next couple of hours.
The model picked up on these 2 different lines at this point in time, at 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock, 2 different lines. If nothing really flares up in this line, again, this line's probably not going to be as impressive on the back end. Now, yeah, it's going to come down cats and dogs for a bit, but this line's probably not going to be as intense than this line. So if anything can flare up, it's going to be in this line right here. And let's go on the velocity, Peyton, and I just want to see if there's anything that's trying to rotate in this line. And the positive note here, nothing's really standing out. So that's good news. Let's hope that that's the case. We said earlier that even with the 1 thunderstorm that we had move through southern Rankin County, the 1 thunderstorm that moved through Simpson County, I mean, that storm was out on its own, and that was a textbook. If you were to look at a textbook on meteorology and talk about a supercell thunderstorm, that was it, as it was moving through Simpson County earlier today. As far as we know, we have not heard any damage from that, and that is good news, okay? And let's outside of the trees down. So we knew there was trees down over the Pinola area along Highway 28. Outside of that, we haven't heard any other reports coming in from there. We may hear some delay reports later, but right now we haven't heard anything outside of those trees down in the Pinola area. But this area here, again, we had a streak, and for all intents and purposes, at least a half a mile wide and possibly upwards of a mile-wide tornado going through.
It's a lot. Many storm chasers, they report potentially a mile wide.
Yeah.
So.
I've heard an unconfirmed report of it being 2 miles wide, and that just seems unbelievable.
Well, the reason why that seems unbelievable because the Baskerville tornado was only 2¼ miles wide.
Right.
And that's the 3rd largest tornado on record in the United States.
Yeah. In size like that.
Yes.
So I think that, in width, excuse me. So I think that, let's hope it wasn't 2 miles wide.
Yeah.
Okay. But the damage we're seeing, at least initial reports, it's quite significant. So.
And that's the unfortunate thing. And, being that it is in such a rural area, it's going to take us a little time to get information. We were lucky to be able to get the information that we got as early as we did. Because usually when we have events like this, even if it's just a severe thunderstorm warning or something like that, and we have a tree that gets blown down along 61, it may take a while before we get that information. It may take a couple hours. Just because it just takes time for people to go out and assess the damage and then get it back. It was almost immediate. By the time that storm rolled through there, it was in Anguilla, and we had already had the first report. And that's rare. That is rare. But usually when something significant happens, that's what happens. People get mobilized and they start working. And so that's what's happening right now. We
have not had any reports yet of fatalities, and I'm hoping that maintains. But this was a very bad tornado in the sense that we don't think this was an EF0 or an EF1.
No.
We believe this was a stronger, a more significant tornado. How can we say that? Well, obviously it'll take a survey crew to go out there and really see it. But when you look at all the variables that we were looking at, all of the things that kind of come together in our decision making for the kind of storm, again, I've been doing this 30 years. This technology hasn't been around for that entire time. But I'm telling you, this is something we just don't see very often at all.
So for instance, from the Brandon radar site, it's 68 miles. At Rolling Fork, we're looking at about 4,000 feet up. Okay. At the baseline is 4,000 feet.
Almost a mile in the sky.
Yes.
Almost.
So we're not looking at the extreme lowest level. What we saw was looking at a mile high in the sky, and that storm was putting debris up 22,000 feet into the sky. 22,000 feet. Think about where an airplane flies. An airplane flies at about 35,000 feet. Okay. So as a airplane could have been flying into the Jackson Medgar Wiley Evers International Airport on descent, coming down into the airport, could very well have been hit by a tornado. That's not what happened.
They wouldn't fly through that.
They would not have flown through that.
But the point is, that's the altitude that you're going to see aircraft at. You know, and 22 miles up, let me do the quick math here, that is about 70 degrees colder than the surface of the ground. So if the temperature was about 70 degrees at the time the tornado was hitting Rolling Fork, it would be about 0 degrees at that altitude, okay, that we're seeing debris in the sky, 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Why am I bringing that up? Because there was also hail as a part of this storm too, and you're going to need those super cold temperatures to produce hail. And at that point, the storm was producing large hail. At that point, it was.
And that's the thing. You have to have a strong updraft. Thunderstorms are nothing but updrafts and downdrafts.
Right.
Downdrafts are going to be what you see here, rain. Okay, that's the downdraft. The updraft is what's feeding the storm, what's feeding in it. You've probably heard us talk about the inflow notch. That is the updraft into that thunderstorm. When you have a strong updraft, like we saw with that storm, pushing debris, whether it be trees or limbs or pieces of cars, pieces of houses, up 22,000 feet into the sky, okay, that is a strong tornado. And just based off, just doing some rough math here, that's EF2 or EF3 at least.
Yeah.
That's a strong to intense tornado that likely moved through that area.
To have that kind of updraft, again, we talk about this, we talk about these updrafts when you're talking about storms like this. And Peyton brought it up earlier tonight. And she said the inflow is getting kind of impeded a little bit. I forget the exact terminology used.
Contaminated, maybe. Contaminated,
that's the term used, sorry, thank you. Contaminated. And that's a key thing, too. This did not seem to have any contamination. I mean, the one that we were talking about in Simpson County did, all right? That's why it probably never achieved its full potential. But this one, when it came across the river in Issaquena County and then moved into Sharkey County, it blew up, exactly. I mean, it had the perfect amount of inflow. There was nothing blocking it. There was nothing contaminating it or kind of impeding it, blocking that inflow. It literally it was completely open to the atmosphere. And just that energy boom combined with an inflow went all the way up to the races. And that's why you saw a storm that took debris 4 miles into the sky. Think about that, 4 miles up into the sky. I mean, that's just incredible to think about. And it takes a certain amount of power, a certain amount of strength for that to happen. We don't see that, fortunately, that often around here. But I'm not going to lie, in the last few years, I think we've seen it more than we could have ever expected. But it's not something that we would see over the duration of 10 years often. That would not be something we would see.
That's what we were saying. It's like, I don't think that this area has seen a tornado like this.
Since maybe the 70s?
Well, this area specifically, I'm thinking like South Delta in general. I'm thinking like Yazoo City 2010.
Yeah, right.
You know, to be a little bit closer. We were talking to Mallory White from MEMA a little bit ago. As of right now, the state response is this. Search and rescue assets are deploying to Sharkey and Humphreys counties. Okay, health assets are assessing the local hospital in Sharkey County. From what we have heard, there has been some damage. We don't know what kind of damage, but damage to the hospital. Okay, they're diverting people to different hospitals, and so that's what we're seeing. Not saying that it was destroyed or anything, but there's obviously some type of damage to the hospital. It could be minor. We don't know. Just damage. Human Services assessing the needs of those being affected, and as Dave mentioned, what, 1,600 people about in
1,700 and change have a 1,700 and change have a Rolling Fork address.
And so they will be up there in the morning doing damage assessment. So I would assume that National Weather Service will also be up there as well. We have Quentin Smith. He is in Rolling Fork. As far as we know, he's probably trying to scour and trying to figure out what's going on because it's a mess up there.
Yeah.
And if you've never been to Rolling Fork, I mean, like, there's not many roads there in Rolling Fork, but
cute little town though.
It is a cute little town, But the thing is that now, unfortunately, that cute town has had a large tornado come through it, and for some people who have been there for maybe a long period of time, if you've been in the South Delta all your life, this might be reminiscent of those tornadoes back in the 70s.
1971 is what we were talking about earlier. Right now I want to tell you, if you're in Sharkey, Issaquena, or Humphreys counties, you have a little time, You're right now in a lull in activity. There is another line of showers that's going to come through. It's going to be windy, and we're hoping that this does not try to become tornadic, but it's out there nonetheless, coming out of the lower delta right now. The good news is we're not seeing any additional tornado warnings coming toward our area. So right now, the worst of the weather seems to be from that storm. That storm did the trick there, that came through the lower delta and is now continuing to move north by Winona and getting farther into the northern part of Mississippi. But Yazoo City, it is raining pretty hard right now by you. We are going to watch these storms. We're not letting our guard down at all. We've got two lines of storms that have to work their way through areas along and north of Interstate 20 before we can call it quits. And so at this point in time, we're just not confident enough that we can turn our backs on this weather just yet. And that's why we're staying on the air. The other reason we're staying on the air is we're going to be bringing you special coverage here in just a few short. We've been doing it all night, but we're going to bring you special coverage during our newscast coming up at 10 o'clock on WLBT with Quentin Smith live up there. I believe we have don't we have someone else up there too?
Mike Evans is with him.
Okay. So we have a crew up there that's going to be bringing you the information, and this is going to be an ongoing thing. We're going to be doing a lot more reporting on this through the weekend. Daybreak tomorrow is going to reveal a much different scene than what we're going to show you tonight. So want to make you aware of that. But again, a significant tornado struck two municipalities in our area that we know of. And the damage is extensive. There are several injuries, and we are going to be bringing you additional information. And these folks are going to need a lot of help over the coming days. Want to thank also Patrice Clark. She's been contributing a lot of behind-the-scenes reports to us tonight, working her contacts in this area, especially right along Highway 61. So she has a lot of people that she knows in that area, and so we appreciate, again, the team effort that everybody's been putting in here at WLBT and Fox 40. Let's go back to the regional radar now and just show folks what we look like in its entirety. All right, so I know you live south of Interstate 20 and you say, wow, you've been talking a lot about storms tonight, and what about me? Well, we just don't expect a lot to happen for you, okay? At this point, scattered showers. Again, the main ingredients, the thrust of these ingredients seems to be along and north of Interstate 20. And as you can see here, as these lines are entering the mix, notice how they kind of just drop off. Right here, the southern ends, they drop off. Now, this could be a problematic area in the sense that if we see additional storms forming on these southern ends, they could then take advantage of that inflow, all right, or updrafts, but we're not seeing that. That's just not what we're seeing right now. We did see it with this guy, the one that's right on the edge of your screen there that's moving north. So right now, we're looking at this trend, and the trend's making us feel a little bit good at the present time, and we're going to go with that, but we still have to remind you we do have a tornado watch in effect for much of the area, and that goes until midnight tonight. And then you've got Holmes and Yazoo counties here where we're seeing some showers and thunderstorm activity that's still flaring up, and then we've got really gusty winds out there too. So that's the other thing. We'll come in on lightning tracker just for a second, Peyton. I just want to take a look, see what kind of lightning these storms are generating. So we got a little bit of action here near Yazoo City, and then we've got more lightning action just south of Greenville. But of course, no more numerous than what we're seeing right there, and that is something else right there just to the north of our viewing area. So that's where a lot of the activity is. Why do I point out the lightning? Again, we have a lot of frequent lightning activity. You tend to have tornadic activity as well. They go hand in hand, and so that's what we're seeing right now. So we're watching all this for you very closely, and we want you to be well protected, and we want you to also have the latest coverage and literally get the information second by second as we're delivering it to you.
And just to kind of bounce off of what you were just saying, you know, Winona probably got hit as well.
Yeah.
And probably a direct hit as well with the storm that just rolled through there. From what we saw, that debris signature from the Columbus Air Force Base radar, which looks at about 7,000 feet from that radar down to Winona, probably 22,000 feet on that as well. So this storm probably cycled a couple of times, weakened a little bit from time to time, but in all intents and purposes, it probably has been on the ground this entire time and just ripped right through from probably northern Issaquena, Sharkey, Humphreys, Holmes, Carroll, Montgomery counties. Now moving up towards Webster County, see a new tornado warning coming out a little further north as you head up into, I guess that would be Chickasaw County and heading up towards Monroe County and this thing is going to go all through the state. It seems like it's going to go clear across the state.
It's going to miss Starkville, which is good.
Yeah.
Because, well, just the college population there and all the people that are there. It's going to miss the Columbus area, and that's the good news. But again, we have tornado warnings right now for Tupelo from an unrelated storm, a farther north storm. So I mean, this is an extensive outbreak that's going on here in the northern part of our state, but Starkville's going to miss this. So I just want to give folks an idea. If you're worried about, maybe you have a child, a student, or you know a student who's over here in Starkville, you may be concerned. Oxford is on the backside of this system at this point, so we're not worried about tornadic weather in Oxford either, but not the case Tupelo and not the case in Amory. We are still looking at the potential there for tornadic storms to be moving in from southwest to northeast. So northeast Mississippi is still going to have a rough night, and in fact, it's probably just getting started in some cases, and I hate saying it like that, but I'm just being honest here about what we're looking at with these storms. Northeast Mississippi will be the last to get cleared of this storm system that we are currently monitoring for you. But this storm that we were still talking about, yeah, I just saw the reports coming in from Winona, trees down, power lines down, but we don't know. Again, it's just so fresh and so new. It's right there. We're not going to have additional reports on that for a little while. But at least in our area, again, very upsetting, the reports that we are getting from Rolling Fork and the reports that we are getting from Silver City. And the roads being accessible is another issue as well. We haven't heard any problems, which is weird.
Yeah.
We haven't heard people say the roads are blocked. We just have tons of damage.
Yeah, we have tons of damage. It is kind of weird.
I'm just saying, I don't, I wonder.
It's not like we haven't seen the damage, because,
right.
As Dave said earlier, we have to vet these things. We can't just pop things up on television. And
hope that it's okay, and then come back an hour later and tell you, oops, we showed you something from 7 years ago in Tasmania.
Yeah, but, from reliable sources, we do know that there has been damage associated with this storm that made its way through Sharkey County, and also, add in Humphreys County, add in Holmes County. Thankfully, some of the other population centers, major population centers, were spared. Chula, Belzona, Lexington. Yeah. Mostly spared, I'd say, for Chula, because if you live on the north side of Chula, that's a different story. You guys probably were hit by a tornado this evening. Belzona, as the city proper, yes, you're fine, but you go south down there past the curve, past the airport, and head down into Silver City. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're
I just had Peyton pull this up. I wanted her to take a look at the roads.
And obviously, a Rolling Fork is a mess.
Right, and you can see, and that could be from a couple things. It may be because the roads are blocked, or it could be because cars are just on the roads, and they may be sitting in traffic. But this is right now, we're looking at Rolling Fork, and when you see red here, that's stop-and-go traffic. At least it's not closed, but it's stop-and-go traffic. So especially it looks like from downtown and north of town, this is where we have quite a bit of problems. Also, I'm looking here. This would make sense. If the storm came in from the southwest, all right, take a look here. You've got this is stop and go, and then you work your way to the north part of town. Let's zoom out just a little bit on this, and we're coming out a little bit. It just shows you. I don't think we have any traffic monitoring by Silver City maybe, but this area right here, Rolling Fork, is the place that we can watch, and that's where we seem to have some problems. There's Silver City. Okay, I'm sorry, I misspoke. But right there, again,
using our traffic data to show you guys basically where the damage path is. And
this is something that we can really do that specialized here to just give you an idea. We did this with the tornado a few years back that hit Auburn in Mississippi, in the southwest part of Lincoln County, and it showed us pretty clear where the tornado damage was. And when we use this traffic data, a lot of times you'll see this in the morning, but this is something that we can also use as a vital tool to kind of piece things together, where there are problems, where there are road problems, and right now the focus is Silver City as well as Rolling Fork. Roads are going to be very tough to get back and forth on right now, and it could be because there's emergency vehicles responding, could be because there's down power lines. Could be because there's trees down. But we are seeing movement on these roads, and that's what's important to note. We're not seeing the purple. We're seeing the red, which is stop and go, which means there is traffic moving. And even beyond that, it's slow going elsewhere. So things are in motion here in Silver City and in Rolling Fork. But again, based on the traffic data we're looking at, it looks like these roads have been impeded, and it's most likely because of the situation that is ongoing. The only good news to report, back to radar, the only good news to report on that is that the severe threat, at least for the time being, for the next few minutes, they don't have one in those particular two places. All right, so this is the line of storms that's still coming that way, but at least now they're behind this line of storms. They can get a little bit of a break. I can't think of anything scarier or more frightening that you make it through, you survive a tornado, you come out to find all this damage, and it's just pouring rain pelting your face along with the wind. It's just something that I don't know. I just can't even imagine that. That's what these folks were dealing with tonight, okay, in Silver City and in Rolling Fork. That's what they were dealing with. They came out of the storm, okay, and it wasn't like the storm just stopped. No, it was pouring down rain on them. It was still the wind blowing in their faces, and without shelter, I mean, what can you do? What can you do in that situation? So you got to feel for these folks, and I know there are a lot of folks in the rest of our area that haven't been touched by tonight's weather. If the only thing that's you've been touched by is your lack of being able to watch normal programming on a Friday night on TV, but you have to understand this is a situation where we were able to be on TV for those folks that needed us, and we were able to warn well in advance that a significant tornado was coming for those places, and this is a situation you do the best you can. Even with a tornado coming for you, you do the best you can, you take shelter, you do what you think is right, and in some cases it works out for you, and I'm hoping in all of these cases we have folks that are just injured. That will make me sleep a lot better knowing that. But at this point in time, we are still looking at a recovery operation going on and a search and rescue operation going on across Rolling Fork, where right now they are going to those places and they're assessing the damage. And there's a lot of folks that are needing hospitalization or at least medical care tonight, as we heard from MEMA and as we're hearing from a lot of people that are in the area right now.
Yeah, and you know that's the thing is that we're working on getting more information for you guys. Like we said, we've got Quentin Smith up there. We'll probably be checking in with him during this half hour as we approach the 10 o'clock hour of the newscast on WLBT, and of course we're with you still on WDBD Fox 40 here at 10 o'clock on a Friday night. The thing is that you know this is unfortunately a bad situation that has unfolded. This morning, I was at Central Hines Academy. I had a conversation with these kids, fourth graders, and I said, you know, the one thing that I can say to folks out there today is that we're all family. Everybody's family. And I love my family. We love our family.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. We're trying to help you guys. And we're trying to get that information out there for the folks who are struggling to get the information out. Cell phones may be struggling up here in this area. If you know somebody... Also, the thing is, don't try to call, text, and actually don't iMessage, text. Use the green bubbles to get that information out there because
it'll take up bandwidth unnecessarily.
It takes up bandwidth. That's the thing. That's one thing we need to emphasize is that if you're trying to get in touch with people up here in Humphreys County, Sharkey County, Holmes County, Issaquah County even, text them. Don't get on Facebook. Don't get on Snapchat. None of that. Text them. Even phone calls can jam up the phone lines, but make sure you're texting them with the green bubbles. I know that may be annoying, but green bubbles because that's SMS. That's a smaller bandwidth that's being used, and it will be able to send a lot quicker, and hopefully you can get some communication going if you cannot get them via phone in that situation. Hopefully, you know, we can get some more information as we kind of roll on here this evening. I know Maggie and Howard are joining us as well.
I'm just waiting to get the approval to throw to our newscast. I haven't gotten it yet, so we're going to continue with our coverage here. You're watching WLBT Jackson and WDBD Jackson as we continue to provide you with severe weather coverage. Basically going on through the evening tonight, we have been reporting on a tornado that struck Rolling Fork and then continued to move on to Silver City and caused quite a bit of damage in both places, quite a bit of injuries too from what we can tell at this point in time. You're looking at regional radar right now. Showers and storms continue to develop across Yazoo City into Holmes County. Showers and storms are just about to enter the northern sections of Issaquah County and move into Washington County as well. The rest of the area, not so much. We're just seeing scattered showers and thunderstorms out there. We do have a tornado watch in effect. This goes until midnight, another 2 hours just about, covers most of the area here shaded in yellow. There are several counties that are not included in this tornado watch right now. Those would be Wilkinson, Amite, Pike, Walthall, and Jefferson Davis counties. We've been given the indication that that's not going to happen for those counties anyway, but the rest of the area still covered by this tornado watch. What I have seen is the back end of the tornado watch has been peeled back just a little bit, and that's certainly some good news. So over the next couple of hours, the storm threat will be lowering. All right, the storm threat will be lowering, especially for areas south of Interstate 20. But north of Interstate 20, we're still going to have to keep our eyes peeled, so to speak, here to watch these storms, to make sure they don't try to develop any further out there and cause any additional problems. But the storm that went through earlier that we tracked all the way across the lower delta from Issaquah into Sharkey, Humphreys, and then Holmes counties, that storm appears to be a long-track, significant tornado with great intensity, and again injured quite a few people in the Silver City and the Rolling Fork area, and created quite a bit of damage in those places as well. And we have Quentin Smith up there. He's going to be bringing us some reports here before long, and we'll continue to supply you with additional information. Meteorologist Peyton Garrison joins me now. You've been watching the storms throughout the evening, and what are you seeing right now?
Well, fortunately, you know, the strongest and most significant of storms have already moved out of our area. But again, we have to get through this back line before our risk for severe weather across all central Mississippi diminishes. But fortunately, these storms are behaving. We're just seeing some pockets of heavy downpours across parts of Yazoo and Holmes counties, and even seeing some other showers and possible thunderstorms. It's going to be moving into our South Delta counties. But again, we don't have any active warnings in our area. As Dave mentioned a short time ago, we still have that tornado watch until midnight. So give us just a couple of hours before we completely end the severe risk for all of our area. So okay, it looks like we will be getting our newscast started here momentarily.
Okay.
Going to Howard.
All right. We're waiting for the blessing, so to speak, and we're going to do that right now. We're going to be here continuing to monitor the latest information for you throughout this evening. We're not done just yet, and again, with that tornado watch in effect, we're here watching the weather for you very closely. Our Howard Ballou from WLBT has the very latest additional news going on with tonight's storm system.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Now, this is happening right now. We have a gentleman named Randy Taylor on the phone. He's from Humphreys County. He's been called in as an emergency to handle the dispatch in Rolling Fork and Silver City. It's really bad up there. Mr. Taylor, I know you're really busy, so thanks for joining us to tell us what's happening. Give us an update on the conditions in Rolling Fork right now.
Okay, well, actually, just for a quick correction, it's not Rolling Fork at this time.
Okay.
It's actually Silver City.
Silver Spring, okay.
Yes,
I mean Silver City. Silver
Yes,
City,
Silver
okay.
City
Mm-hmm.
in Humphreys County. And we are in desperate need of assistance with search and rescue. We're having buildings, family homes, people are trapped. We're having people running out of oxygen because they have no more oxygen. We've had people doing CPR. It's extremely dark, so we're really reaching out to all the local sheriff offices that can spare manpower to the Humphreys County Sheriff Department for assistance.
It's my understanding that a hospital in that area has also been hit. Do you have any intel on that?
Not at this time. The area that we're focusing on is really in the rural area of Silver City, Mississippi.
Okay.
As of right now, it is in desperate need. Like I stated earlier, we're literally going through search and rescue right now.
Right.
All of the deputies are out, and that's why they're using the actual county jail for assistance to dispatch, reaching out to various locations that can assist us.
Mm-hmm. Is there any indication at this point that there have been any casualties, and what is the injury situation like?
Well, at this time, thank God, there is no casualties, no fatalities in that matter, but there are major injuries at this time.
Okay. And what you are, again, calling on other emergency agencies, first responders, to get to that area as quickly and safely as possible. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We're reaching out to Sunflower County. We're reaching out to Holmes County. We're reaching out to all the local counties in the area. As I said, I'm a correction officer with the Humphreys County Sheriff Department, and they're using the county jail as of right now to assist with dispatching to get help.
And I understand that I had one first responder tell me who is on the scene now. He is with the Vicksburg Fire Department. He says it reminds him of Katrina, the devastation, with mountains of rubbish, cars piled on top of each other. Is that what you're seeing?
Well, I couldn't compare anything to Katrina. However, I can say the Delta of Humphreys County, the heart of the Delta, is in desperate need for assistance right now.
Wow, that's just horrible. Randy Taylor, I know you are very busy, and we're not going to take up much more of your time, but I hope everybody responds to your plea for help. Stay safe, and thank you so much. We're sending prayers your way, sir. Dave?
And thank you for helping us getting this word out, because we really need it.
Absolutely. Glad to do it. Thank you, sir. Dave?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Howard, for that. We'll check back in with you for additional interviews, and we're going to be getting some more information out of that area before long as well. Yazoo City, we do have a heavy shower right now over town. That is moving to the northeast. We are watching this particular cell because, again, there is the potential for it to try to flare up as it moves closer toward Lexington, but we do have that shower out there. The rest of the area, I just don't see a lot going on, and that's good news for what's happening here in Rolling Fork and in Silver City. There's a thin line of showers approaching from the west. There's another one out here back by Monroe, and that's really the end of the storm system. So we've got to just, keep our fingers crossed that none of this activity tries to flare up any additional than what it's doing now. And as long as it just stays put with what it's doing, we're expecting it to stay below severe limits. But again, the potential is still there, and that tornado watch remains in effect. Now, keep in mind something here. The tornado watch was put into effect for most of central and northern Mississippi until midnight. And it's put out because the potential for tornadoes is there. We had a tornado warning early on right here in Simpson County, all right, and then in Rankin, and then in northwest Smith. So we had that verify in the watch right here. And then our next one came right through here. So if you take a look at this, you may say, well, most of the area wasn't impacted, but wow, you talk about boundaries here. They really nailed it on the southern boundary, and they nailed it on the northern boundary here. So I think you need to understand that when a watch is issued, it's a broad brushed area, but it's a focused area on where you're going to get tornadoes developing, or where you could possibly get tornadoes developing. And if you just look at the perspective here, all right, this is kind of what we saw set up today. Now, it could have been a lot worse. We could have had a lot more tornadoes. But I always talk about this. I've said this on TV before, but I always talk about this. It's that one tornado that does all the damage. I mean, you could have a tornado outbreak, don't get me wrong. We don't see an awful lot of those if you think about it. This tonight was a serious situation. A high intense storm, okay, a large tornado that moved through, and I'm saying that with confidence. I don't need to wait for the surveys to happen tomorrow morning from the National Weather Service. They're going to tell us how bad it was. We know it's bad, but they're going to tell us how strong this actual tornado was. All doubt's been removed from my mind that this was a significant tornado. The question is, how strong is it? So this is the area that we're going to watch. All right, and we're going to get additional information on as they start to do their surveys. And in all fairness, it's probably going to take more than a couple days to do the surveys they need to do, especially if this is a tornado that was 50 to 70 and maybe 100 miles on the ground. It's still going, so we don't know. We don't know the exact length of this tornado. We've had estimates as to how wide it was. A lot of folks are telling us it was a mile wide. We don't have confirmation on that, but I'm just telling you there's a lot of information out there tonight saying that this tornado was a mile wide. So this is an extremely dangerous situation, a rare situation, but one that can happen here in Mississippi because we've seen it more than once in history. And, you know, tonight was one of those nights where it played out. Metro area getting some showers right now, scattered showers and thunderstorms, some wind, some rain, but nothing that's approaching severe limits. So again, the farther south and east you get, the lower your threat will be over the next couple of hours. We don't expect there to be many problems after midnight tonight, as a lot of the dynamics are just going to be lifting north and eastward away from our area. So that's certainly some good news. I want to bring in meteorologist Peyton Garrison here. She's been covering the storm with me all afternoon, all evening. And what are you seeing right now on your perspective on things?
Really the most intense thunderstorm in our area right now. Of course, it's below severe limits. We don't have any active severe weather ongoing in our area right now. But if you're out towards Yazoo City, the northern part of Yazoo County, and out towards central Holmes County right now, you're probably hearing some lightning, or you're probably seeing some lightning, hearing some thunder. You might be also seeing some pretty heavy rainfall, especially out towards Yazoo City and close to Ebenezer on the southern side of Holmes County. We'll turn on velocity, just see if there's any sort of rotation within the storm. Nothing that looks concerning at this rate. And it's pretty weak right now, but enough where you're going to hear some thunder and you're going to see some pretty heavy rainfall. But that's really the only intense storm that we have in our area right now. If that's the way it is for the rest of the night, then, you know, we're good to go. But again, we still have that tornado watch in effect till midnight for most of the area. So we all still need to be on guard. I don't want everyone to just think that the risk is completely over, because, again, there still is that potential for maybe one, possibly two severe thunderstorms.
And so I want to give you a little perspective on what the weekend's going to look like around here. So we've got the the Mal St. Patty's Parade when it comes to Saturday in Jackson. All right, and that's important because the weather looks fine for that. I don't think we're going to have any problems for the parade. The weather should be great. In fact, Saturday will turn out to be a really nice day, so long as you're not involved here in all of the cleanup that's going to be required across portions of the Delta, and that's going to take weeks, maybe months anyway, depending on how bad the situation is. But we're going to have a decent weather picture for Saturday. Temperatures will be in the 70s, close to 80 degrees. We'll have partly, if not mostly, sunny skies. On Sunday, the weather is going to start to turn again. All right, we're going to have a warm front coming back up from the Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to trigger more showers and thunderstorms out there, and some of them could very well turn severe again. Are they going to be like this? No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like more of a wind and hail problem for us, again, later on Sunday into Sunday night. And that's going to spill over into Monday probably of early next week. That's the kind of weather pattern that we're going to be dealing with. So if you can, if you're in an area that's not been impacted by the tornado tonight, I hope you get a chance to get out and enjoy the nice weather that we are going to have on Saturday. You may think that Saturday's a world away at this point, but again, most of the area is going to enjoy some really nice weather. Watching these showers and storms, again, they're not as impressive as they once were. Let's zoom into the metro area real quick, and just to give you an idea, we are seeing some moderate showers and some occasional heavy showers in here too, but they're not severe, and they're moving generally from southwest to northeast across the area. We're not seeing them develop either. They're not really approaching severe limits at this point, but we are seeing the scattered showers and storms and very windy conditions that continue out there. Rest of the area, really not so much going on. Again, that tornado watch in effect until midnight tonight. That's where we're going to be looking at the potential of additional tornadic cells, but this radar picture is making me feel better and better every time I look at it. So I don't know if you feel the same way about it, Peyton, but at this point, every time we look at this radar, the picture is certainly looking a lot better out there, and the possibility of additional warnings is starting to lower, at least from the perception that I have right now at looking at all this. The weather tonight, developed pretty much on schedule. Our forecast models were really showing this to be the situation that we were going to be dealing with a few days ago. And so things really just kind of played out. We use what we call high-resolution forecast models to kind of put this all together, and it really does a good job close to when the storm is developing, and that's exactly what it did over the past couple of days. Any additional reports that you're seeing out there? I know we've been talking about power outages tonight. We've been covering the storm from just about every single angle.
I am not getting any additional reports besides, what we already know out towards Humphreys and Sharkey counties. There are additional reports coming out to areas farther north as those pretty significant storms track farther away from our area. We're still looking at a decent amount of power outages, even outside of Humphreys and Sharkey counties. For instance, Yazoo County has just over 800 customers without power right now. Attala, just about the same, just over 800 as well. So there's other counties that are dealing with some power outages, likely from those gusty and strong winds. And keep in mind, if I just turn on wind gusts, we're still going to be dealing with some pretty breezy winds over the next couple of hours just from the pressure gradient, which has nothing to do with the thunderstorms itself. We're looking at wind gusts here in Jackson around 29 miles per hour, Lexington 30, so we could be gusting upwards of 40 miles per hour maybe within the next couple of hours before the winds start to die down. So that is just another impact that we're going to be dealing with for majority of the area over the next couple of hours.
So that's a good sign. Winds are starting to come down. We had some pretty strong wind gusts earlier on this evening, and again, the big news is that recovery effort that's going on right now in parts of the lower Delta. Maggie Wade has more on that for us.
Well, yes, Dave, here is MEMA, the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency, describing the current disaster response situation. Now, this was a tweet that was posted a few minutes ago, and of course, we talked to Mallory White, who is the communications director for MEMA. Search and rescue assets are deploying to Sharkey and Humphreys County. Health assets assessing local hospital in Sharkey County. Human Services is also assessing the needs of those affected. Damage assessments to begin in the morning when they have more daylight. And Mallory also let us know that they are again assessing the hospital that is in Rolling Fork, Mississippi. We are hearing reports that some of those patients are being brought to Vicksburg. And again, MEMA right now has search and rescue assets that are deploying to Sharkey and Humphreys counties. They are right now looking for any victims of this severe weather. And again, we will also have teams that will be assessing whether this was a tornado. We believe it's a tornado. We're saying that as well. And just how big this tornado was. And Dave, you're hearing it as well. We're hearing everything from 2 to 3 miles long.
Yeah, I mean, it's wide. Wide,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the length, this thing could be 100 miles long. We don't even, I mean, this is significant. We believe it to be 50, 60. Of course, that will come out when the eventual,
yes, it will.
when they do the full survey on it. But we know that this is a big deal. We know that this was a very, very bad tornado, as bad as tornadoes are in the first place. I want to show you the weekend forecast now. We're going to be looking at sunshine for Saturday. Temperatures back in the lower 80s. It's going to be a great day. Only a slight chance for a shower, but again, we've got big festivities going on in Jackson. Weather looks fine for it. On Sunday, there's a 50% chance for showers and storms. Temperatures will make their way into the upper 70s. As far as your hour-by-hour forecast, looking at the weather pattern here, here's what's going to happen on Sunday. We're going to start off okay, but then this warm front's going to come up, and we got to pay attention to these storms later in the afternoon. Notice the time, 4, 5, 6 o'clock at night. That's when these showers and storms are going to pop up out there, and they could put out some hail and some wind. It's certainly a concern as all this gets going. And then even on Monday, we're probably going to have some of these showers and storms that are going to be kind of just lagging around our area. But temperatures are going to be on the warm side. There's none of this cold weather anymore coming in behind these fronts. I think those days have left us far behind. Let me show you the 7-day forecast now. And the 7-day forecast calling for a good amount of sunshine on Saturday, 20% chance for rain, but that rain chance will increase on Sunday. Low 50s in the morning Sunday. We'll be in the upper 70s in the afternoon. Monday in the upper 70s as well. And then by the middle of next week, we cool off a little bit. But again, everything's relative. The cool weather we're talking about the last few days of March, highs will be in the lower 70s. And overnight low temperatures are going to be in the upper 40s and lower 50s. And then as we get towards the end of the week, temperatures will start to rebound again. I hate to say it, we look at the end of next week, we could be dealing with more showers and thunderstorms with temperatures well into the 80s once again. We were in the mid-80s yesterday. We made it back into the mid-80s too. What was our official high this afternoon? Did you see it by any chance? I know we were well into the 80s, and then we were basically covering severe storms popping up this afternoon. Things really started to get quite active out there. But you can see over the next 7 days, we're in the 70s and 80s every day. And as far as chances for severe weather, that would be Sunday. And then our next chance for seeing any kind of severe weather is going to be towards the end of the week, and that would come our way on Friday. Overnight low temperatures, 40s and 50s, and a bunch of 60s thrown in there as well. Let's go back to regular radar now, update you on what's going on across the area. And we're looking right now just scattered showers. The severe threat really has lifted to the north, but we are watching what's going on here with these storms coming out of eastern Louisiana and parts of the lower delta. That's where we're seeing the most intense showers and storms, and they're going to be traveling through Holmes County here before long as we go through the next few minutes and moving their way into the southern or into north central Mississippi. That's where we're going to be looking at the bulk of that weather. But again, the severe threat, it seems to be waning at this point. We still have scattered showers and storms out there, but the severe threat is waning. It's coming down, and that's certainly some good news. I know, Peyton, we were monitoring power outages a little earlier this evening. I'm just curious, where do we stand on those power outages right now from your standpoint?
Well, statewide, there's around 21,000, but keep in mind that also is accounting for, all the damage and downed power lines for areas outside of our local viewing area. But the counties that have the highest amount of power outages are Sharkey. Just about the entire county is currently without power right now. Humphreys County has a decent amount, in addition to Yazoo as well. We have didn't really have any very strong or significant storms go through Yazoo County, so that could have just been from a gusty storm or, just all around the pressure gradient winds that we've been talking about, where winds outside of thunderstorms could be gusting as high as 40 to 50 mile an hour today. Not really seeing any impacts on power outages as you head farther south, considering it's been relatively quiet in our far most southern counties if you live near and south of Interstate 20, with the regards of that one supercell we had around earlier this afternoon into the early evening hours. That was around Copiah, Simpson, the southeastern part of Rankin County, which at this point we only know caused down trees near Pinola. We hope that that's just from some straight line winds, but of course we'll see if we can get any additional information of that over the days ahead as the National Weather Service does get out and eventually does surveys, especially in the South Delta, where of course that is where we've had the hardest hits from the storms previously this evening. Dave, do you have any sort of updates?
Well, I mean, we've been getting additional reports from some of the different emergency managers that we have across, north central Mississippi. The situation seems pretty dire up there in Rolling Fork. I hate to say it like that. I'm not trying to dramatize what's been going on up there, but I'm just letting you know that every piece of information that I'm seeing suggests it's worse and worse than we originally thought. So just kind of preparing the audience for some of the information that we are starting to receive in here. We're going to be delivering that as we get it confirmed. But again, a pretty awful situation right now coming out of the lower Delta. Rolling Fork and Silver City both seem to be hit pretty hard right now. Maggie Wade, I know you've been covering this through most of the evening, and you're getting additional reports in. What are you hearing so far?
Well, Dave, we know that Governor Tate Reeves has also said that they are sending additional ambulances. He talked about the search and rescue. And earlier tonight, we talked with the current mayor of Rolling Fork, Eldridge Walker, who told us that he was trapped in his home after the tornado hit. He is safe. He joins us again now to give us an update on the situation there right now. Thank you so much again, Mr. Walker, for being with us. Can you tell us anything, is there any new information at this point about casualties, injuries, anything you can tell us?
We do not have a number for casualties at this time. I cannot speak on that right now. But aside from that, we have some serious situations here. We've been hit real hard in Rolling Fork, Mississippi. And what we're doing now is assessing all the damage around, along with the volunteers from various counties that are here helping us to locate folk who are trapped in their homes, and we're trying to get them out to get them to the hospital for emergency care.
Now, we are hearing that some of the patients there, that the hospital in Rolling Fork was actually hit, and that some of the patients are being brought to Vicksburg. Can you confirm that?
I cannot confirm that. Right now, I haven't talked to anyone at the hospital in reference to those who have been transported to Vicksburg and or other hospitals. I just can't answer that right now.
You lived through this. Is there any doubt in your mind whatsoever that this was a large tornado that hit your town?
It appears from the damage that I've been able to assess at this point, it was a large tornado, and it has destroyed the city of Rolling Fork.
When you say destroyed, is there anything that is still standing or any structure that has not been touched by this tornado? And we're hearing all kinds of estimates. If you could give us an idea, we're hearing everything from 1 mile to possibly 2 or even 3 miles wide.
Well, all I can tell you is what I've been able to see right now. I'm on Highway 61, riding with Emergency Management Director, and from left to right, all I'm seeing is debris. And that's all I can tell you right now.
Well, there are many people throughout the state who are praying for Rolling Fork, for Humphreys County as well, and Silver City. And Mayor, when you know more, if you would pass that on to us, and again, you are in our thoughts and prayers. And I know Mississippians are coming together. We're hearing about the volunteer effort that's already underway to get people to Rolling Fork to assist with search and rescue.
Well, we thank you so much, and we're just asking Mississippians to pray for our community, all counties that's been affected by this storm. Right now, we just need some help, and those who can come in and give us any assistance to our families and friends, we would certainly appreciate it. The community is in uproar right now, and so we're just going to do our best to recover.
All right, thank you so much. Again, we've been talking with Eldridge Walker, who is the current mayor of Rolling Fork. And Dave, we'll go back to you and our First Alert weather team. You and Peyton and Patrick have been here. You can hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
This is really a terrible situation, a heartbreaking situation, and we know a lot of families right now are searching for loved ones.
You know, I don't know the mayor. I've never met him before. He sounded winded. I think it sounds like he's in almost disbelief with what he's seeing. I can't imagine you're mayor of a town. This is not something you're supposed to preside over. But he said to us, the city's destroyed.
Yes.
I mean, those were the words. And I mean,
he said left to right.
Yeah.
Nothing is standing.
Yeah. I mean,
nothing but debris.
You know, for us, it's kind of heartbreaking because, you know, we do this job and we just hope that everybody pays attention. And sometimes that's not even enough.
You're
That's
right.
not enough. I mean, it doesn't make a difference. You do the best you can in this situation. I'm hoping that we do get some better news in the future. I'm hoping Rolling Fork can make a huge recovery and that they get the help that they need right now. I can tell you that, you know, the state's mobilizing resources, as Howard reported to us a little while ago, and you did as well. And that's all we can do right now is just hope and pray for these folks in Rolling Fork and also Silver City. We're getting the biggest damage reports, it seems, from Rolling Fork, but you could see the good news is things are not getting worse, at least right now on the radar. But I am letting folks know that if you're in Sharkey or Humphreys counties, you've got more rain on the way here in about the next 20 or 30 minutes. All right. Just spoke about Silver City. We have a picture coming in right now from Silver City. This is from Stan Doro. I hope I got his name correct. But you could see there's quite a bit of damage in that area as well. So that's the thing right now. Quite a bit of damage there. This is just an initial damage. Looks like a mangled car, maybe a truck, from what I can see. And, you know, I had heard several reports of cars flipped into ditches. This, again, is Silver City. So this would be in Humphreys County. And, again, the damage, we've had an incredible amount of damage reports coming in from Rolling Fork. But you can see there, it looks like some trees are stripped in the background. And then in the foreground, just a pile of debris there. You can see the traffic or whatever there is on the right-hand side, a couple cars at least traveling on by. So this is our situation right now, folks. 10:30 at night. Started this afternoon with some severe storms. We had that tornado warning in Simpson County, and then of course we broke back on the air tonight shortly. I think it was around a little after 7 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, Peyton, when the Issaquena warning was first issued, and we tracked that storm right as it moved through the Delta, and it got bad, and it stayed bad the entire time. It looked like an intense tornado, and stayed, from what we can tell, on the ground for an extended, very long period of time. A long track nighttime tornado that moved across our lower Delta counties. And it was Issaquena, and it was Sharkey, and it was Humphreys, and it was also Holmes counties that were all hit by this. That's just in our area. It then continued, and it's still ongoing right now. Let's zoom out a little bit here on radar. It is still ongoing, this storm, as it's very close to the Amory area of northeastern Mississippi. So this is a very lengthy tornado. We're getting a lot of reports from folks, I think it was the mayor, I think it was some other folks as well, talking about how wide this tornado was. Some folks are telling us it was a mile, maybe 2 miles, but you understand that 2¼ miles was the width of the storm that hit Bassfield back in 2020. And again, that was the third widest in recorded history. So we know this was a really intense and a really big tornado that hit several counties tonight. We're focused on Rolling Fork. We're focused on Silver City. These are the population centers that were impacted the most in the Delta. We're not ignoring you if you're in Issaquena County or you're in Holmes County. We're just telling you where we're getting the initial reports in and the most amount of damage reports in at this point in time. Our news coverage continues right now with Howard Ballou and Maggie Wade.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, we did get some information that Pafford has been activated to go and help out up in Rolling Fork and in Sharkey County, the whole area, because a hospital there has also been hit, and there are injuries. We do know there are injuries at that hospital, and Pafford has deployed its response team up there, and they're going to set up strategic locations to assist in treating people, because there are numerous injuries in that area right now. I've learned that as well. We know that the fire coordinator for the Vicksburg Fire Department is up there right now, and the damage is supposed to be extreme. We've seen some little snippets right now. It's too dark to get a full assessment of how bad it is up there, but folks, when I tell you it's bad, it is extremely bad. There's some nighttime pictures right now, but they don't quite tell the whole story.
And
Plenty
Governor
of
Tate Reeves
devastation.
is also saying they are sending additional ambulances because of all the injuries.
Right.
And not only that, they are sending the search and rescue teams because we know that there are people who are still trapped. The mayor just told us, Mayor Eldridge Walker, that he is riding with the emergency management director for that area.
Yes.
And he said there's no building standing. Left to the right, you see nothing but debris, and you could hear the shock and the hurt, the pain in his voice as he described what he was seeing.
Yeah, understandably so, because he also was trapped in his home.
Yes.
When I talked to him a little bit earlier this evening, he was stuck in his home. He didn't know what was going on. He could not get out of his home after hearing all of this carnage coming out. Now, there's the tweet from the governor you're talking about, Maggie.
Yes, he says many in the Mississippi Delta need your prayers and God's protection tonight. We have activated medical support, surging more ambulances and other emergency assets for those affected. Search and rescue is active. Watch weather reports and stay cautious through the night. Mississippi. And I'm sure emergency officials will tell folks who just want to go and look to stay out of the area. They don't need that. I'm sure the Salvation Army, the Red Cross, as well as the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency will have organized teams that will actually go into those areas.
And it's not over yet. That's the point. You know, even though it's cleared some areas, this thing is still ongoing, and Dave's going to give some more information about that.
Yeah, you know, just looking at the radar right now, I can tell you it seems we're not going to see anything like that for the rest of the night. I can tell you that that's really important to note. But we are looking at some lines of showers that are out there, and the only thing I'm focused right now, honestly, is the recovery efforts that are going on here. They need some nice weather, okay? and they need some nice weather in this area. Okay, that's really, really important right now. So they can do some cleanup, they can assess what's going on. They're still going to have a few showers going on across the area. You see Holmes County here? Eastern part of Holmes County, we're still looking at some intense weather here with some heavy rain that's falling around Lexington, and this is going to be traveling north and eastward. Let's zoom out a little bit, and you can see the rest of the area. Again, worst of the weather still remains to the north. So the big story tonight is that we had a significant tornado, a large one, strike the lower delta, and we're continuing to cover that. What we're going to do right now, folks, is we don't have any pressing weather that's currently impacting our area. But we're not going anywhere. We're actually getting additional information for you. We have crews that are currently in Rolling Fork. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to regular programming, just take a breather for a little bit here so we can regroup. And then as soon as we have those reports coming in, we're going to break back into programming and continue our coverage from a news angle to give you the latest information as to what's happening in Rolling Fork and Silver City. So for the entire First Alert Weather Team, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dave Roberts. We're going back to regularly scheduled programming. If another tornado warning gets issued, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it right away. And we are going to go back on as soon as we have live coverage set up from Rolling Fork.
This has been a First Alert Weather Update. We now return you to our regularly scheduled programming.